News Weekly.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Batman News Weekly. This is episode 132 in year 3, and right before we started recording this podcast, or maybe it might have dropped yesterday, right? But Clay sent me a clip of the deleted scene from The Batman, which is the Joker scene that we've mentioned previously, right before the start of this podcast. And we're going to dive right into talking about that, ladies and gentlemen. Clay, I'm not on comic book Twitter, so what does comic book Twitter think of the Joker?
Everybody thinks that this scene is, well, I'm not going to say everybody, but a vast majority is like, oh my God, I think I just saw Jesus on screen. This is amazing.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Like, it's ridiculous. The amount of people that will just like slob on the knob of anything connected to Batman, no matter what, is just like, oh my God. And there is some people that see why it is a deleted scene.
It should have been. It should have not been in that movie at all.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Yeah.
I don't think it should have been filmed, to be completely honest, for me.
I'll have a reaction to this tomorrow on my reaction channel, because I did film that along with just a bunch of other random videos I wanted to react to. And my thing was, this apparently was supposed to happen after Riddler kills the commissioner.
Yeah.
And my thing, if this would have been in the movie and that happens right after the commissioner gets killed or whatever, I would have been like, who the fuck is this guy? I know he's the Joker. But the general audience would have been like, why do we give a fuck? And why is Batman going to talk to this random fucking guy?
And the problem is, again, not to reiterate this whole thing, because I do think that in some capacity, Batman can work without having to throw the origin in your face.
Yes.
He can work. You're throwing in a completely new concept of Batman to the general audience, not to fans, but to audiences. This, like, my stepdad went to go see it the other day, and he is an Oscar bait film snob. Like, he just, like, he only watches good movies.
Yeah,
quote, unquote.
One of those.
Okay. And I was
so he doesn't touch Fast and the Furious.
No. Well, he does. He does for, like, my little brother. But like he won't like really critique a movie unless it's like a quote unquote good movie.
Gotcha.
And so I was like, so what'd you think about it? He's like, this is the first time somebody actually attempted to make a good superhero film.
Okay, snob.
I was like, what? He's like, yeah, it's quite possibly the greatest superhero film I have ever seen. And he's like, you know what? That might be a little much. Probably not the best I've ever seen, but it's pretty far up there. And I was like, whatever.
Yeah. Whatever. So he clearly hasn't seen V for Vendetta then.
No,
I think V for Vendetta is one of the best, if not the best superhero film.
Oh, I think it's up in my top 10, to be completely honest. I haven't watched it in years.
I watched it the day after I saw The Batman, and it's still fucking great.
Fuck, still. I need to watch it. Where'd you watch it?
I have it on my phone. I've had it on my phone forever because I bought the Blu-ray. Like I don't know if it was a special edition or something a long time ago. It came with digital copy because like for a while I was buying all the superhero movies with digital copies because I was traveling a lot and I just like having them on my phone. So like I'll go back and watch like BVS or whatever, any of those old films again, just on my phone because you know they're long enough to where it's a short flight.
So I sent you this video, this deleted scene without watching it.
Oh really?
Yeah, I just saw it like trending and I was like, okay, I'll watch it later. So I sent it to Juice. I just watched it right before we started recording. Dude, I legit was like, holy shit, it's Sloth from the fucking Goonies.
Oh, God. So what I did in my reaction video, you cannot hear what this guy says for the first minute.
That is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I was like, okay, Bane. I was like, can you speak up? I was like, what the fuck? Dude, you cannot hear what he's saying. Like,
I was like, where's the subtitles?
Yeah. It was bad, dude. And this is a little shit that I was talking about. Like, it feels one, and I don't know if you got this vibe, and it's fun. I was glad to see Robert Pattinson as Batman again, because like as I was watching this scene, I was like, okay, Pattinson feels like he's playing Batman. Like
Yes,
he
that's
seems
the
like
one thing.
Batman.
The cinematography. Well, again, one thing that I'm still gonna harp about this fucking movie, even on this deleted fucking scene,
Mhm.
the blurred lens and
Yeah.
everything else. I was like, my glasses are not fucking foggy. What the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
Because they wanted to have that big reveal at the
Hmm.
end of that one scene, so you
Yeah.
can really get a good look at Joker.
Hmm.
That's fucking stupid.
Yeah.
I hated that because it hurt my eyes the entire time. And just imagine us being in an IMAX scene or
Hmm.
like screen and have that giant blurred lens the entire time.
Yeah.
That was annoying. Like
Yeah.
I couldn't handle it.
And I mentioned this in that video that like he felt at the start of the whole thing, not at the end. I think he was getting a little bit better, but majority of that video, he just felt like a guy reading lines. Like he didn't feel like he was in like encompassing this character that is supposed to be the Joker or is going
Mhm.
to be the Joker. He just felt like he was reading lines for a bit, and I was like, it didn't feel like he was, and maybe I don't know if that's his normal voice or he's trying to do a voice or whatever.
So there is a twang
Hmm.
to what he was doing in this scene that
Okay,
almost made it sound like the same way that Heath was doing it in The
that's
Dark
what
Knight.
I got that vibe, and I
So
didn't like it.
he was trying to like the only way I can describe it is a little twang in his voice. He was kind of
Yeah.
smacking his lips a little bit,
Hmm.
and you can kind of you can just tell because of the way at the
The
end
prosthetics.
the prosthetics.
His face
It,
looks crooked, which is crazy,
yeah,
which I thought
it
was interesting.
yeah,
But
it looked all sorts of messed up, which is why I said he looks like fucking Sloth from the Goonies.
yeah,
Uh, but I heard that twang, but in between that, he used his normal voice, and it took me out. Like I couldn't.
yeah.
I knew who the actor was at that point, and I was just like,
Hmm.
"This isn't the Joker. This is just Barry attempting to play a Joker."
And so that is exactly what happened with Riddler as well. Like Riddler for me, like he had that like, "Rah, you know, I'm gonna kill you, whatever kind of bullshit, and then hi guys, like you just don't do that. And it was just also like I don't know, and it just blows my mind that Matt Reeves didn't pick up on that kind of stuff. Like, how do you, and maybe that's just me because I have to constantly like edit myself every single day for YouTube that I'm hyper focused on, like, that doesn't sound right, that doesn't look good, blah, blah, blah kind of shit.
Yeah,
And granted, sometimes I'm just fucking tired and I just let it go through. But if you're making a fucking $100+ million movie, $200 million movie, you don't have that option. Everything should be good and solid and perfect. So I
and
don't know how they allowed that.
the one thing that I keep questioning is okay. He even says it in this clip. This is their 1 year anniversary. One
Hmm.
year anniversary. But he isn't identified as the Joker.
Yeah.
It's not once said at all.
Hmm.
Is he going to get that title later? Why? Like,
Yeah.
in thinking of what now will be an Arkham series on HBO Max, like, I'm not really interested in this character's backstory or continued adventures in Arkham. Like,
I'm not interested in this universe anymore.
yeah,
Like, I I hope the next, and they're not going to do this because, dude, can you imagine if this character was in the movie? That would have been four fucking villains,
yeah.
four, which is insane. And I thought just three was too much. And yeah, dude, I'm glad that they cut this because I don't think it would have made sense. It would have been like, all right, you just essentially introduced another character like Alfred, right? Like Alfred didn't need to be there. So you would have introduced this other character to be like, we've had ties or whatever.
But also, and I was questioning this when I was watching the scene. We have seen moments in animation
Hmm.
and very, very rarely in comics where Batman is forced to work alongside, not with, but
Yeah.
alongside the Joker.
Mm-hmm.
Getting a profile from what we know as a characterization of Joker, why would you even play with that? Why would you go to this psychopath that
Mm-hmm.
is who we will eventually know as the Joker, knowing
Yeah.
what he is as a character, and be like, hey, I need your help with this.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah. I wonder if Matt Reeves was like, I'm gonna test this out and be if people don't like it, he's not gonna be our Joker. You know? Like, do you think that option is there? Because do you think that there's like new because like we've been reading comics forever, right? And so have other people. Do you think that the new society of people that are getting into Batman just know 3 Jokers? Like that is what they know? Because the amount of time I heard people bring up 3 Jokers while I was covering Gotham was maddening. I was all like, have y'all fucking not read any comics prior to this like end scene in what was it, New 52 or what was the Dark War? What was the
It was
series?
the Dark Side War.
Dark Side
It
War?
was the very end of the New
Yeah.
52.
It's like people knew nothing prior to that. And then Jeff Johns made everybody wait for fucking 10 years or whatever it was. And I was just like, how is this the only thing y'all know? Like, and it's just because again, it's Joker, it's the thing that sells, and everybody knows that iconic cover now of all 3 Jokers. So everybody's like, oh yeah, freaking Jerome is 3 different Jokers, and there's gonna be another one, blah, blah, blah. And now everybody wants to see like Joaquin's Joker with, you know, fucking Leto's Joker with another Joker in a movie, and I'm just like, what? No. I was like, y'all don't understand the character of the Joker. And that was our biggest criticism of the 3 Jokers, and still is my thing, is like, I don't like the idea of 3 different Jokers. If you want to kind of go out there and say it's like a clone thing, you know, there's different things they can do, but go listen to those old podcasts about it. But yeah, I don't know, man. I am not excited for it. Again, like the scene itself, if you watch this reaction tomorrow, like I'm not really praising anything about it, but I also didn't like the film. So like, why would I out of this like be the one thing that makes me like, wow? I will say, go for
Well,
it.
I was gonna say again, we did like seeing Pattinson's Batman.
Yes, and I say that in
Because
the film.
in that movie, we've seen plenty of scenes where it's like, oh shit, that's the fucking Joker.
Yeah.
I think I sent you a screenshot of one of my friends on Twitter who went to go see the Joker. She like her first comment was, I hope I dehydrated myself to go see this 3-hour long movie. And then
Mhm.
the very next tweet that's connected to it was, holy fuck, that was boring. And then the very next tweet
Oh yeah, I
attached,
remember this.
the next tweet attached to that was, why was he fucking walking so slow everywhere he went?
Dude, I didn't realize that until I read that comment. Like, yeah, is she general audience or is she a part of?
She's a part of the nerd community for
Oh,
sure.
okay, got you. But yeah, and that's the funny thing, man. That's what I like to point out to people. And now that it's been out for a while, we've had more people like people come into my live streams and be like, dude, I didn't like the Batman. And I don't know if a lot of people assumed I was gonna like it, and maybe they did. But I was like, dude, neither did I. And they're like, what? Oh shit, right? Blah, blah, blah. And it's interesting. Again, I think it's a big divide. I think people either really liked it or they didn't really like it.
Yeah.
I haven't again, we didn't hate it. We just thought it was boring. And there was things that are okay, but it was funny. We had a conversation earlier in the day or earlier in the Discord this week about people just constantly asking about the Batman and talking about older movies and stuff like that, which is the ponderer, Ethan, was asking about the old Batman films because he's actually never seen the old Batman films. And he was like, oh, okay, well, do you like all of them better than the Batman? And I was like, well, I haven't seen all the old ones in a long time, but I can tell you that I was never bored watching any of the previous Batman. So I can't sit here and tell you that they're greater films because cinematography wise, they're not. And just the way that it's filmed and stuff, they're very different. One is campy, one is very serious.
Yeah.
But the only thing I can tell you is I was never bored. But at the same time, I was so much younger when I watched those too that everything was awesome. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And I mean, I look back on them now and cringe at parts for sure. But even with the cringe, I was never bored. And that's my biggest takeaway from the Batman. I was bored. And I can't change that. I can't change
Yeah,
that.
no,
And
we will never get those 3 hours back.
yeah, dude, and I'm waiting to see it at home. Will I be able to watch it in one sitting when it comes out on HBO Max? Probably not, unless I'm watching it while
It's
playing
gonna
a
be
game.
interesting because I am Abby hasn't seen it yet, so
Oh, okay.
we're gonna sit down and watch it within the first week of it being on HBO
Hmm.
Max. But it's gonna be a very interesting conversation afterward
Yeah.
because she is not one for long movies.
Hmm.
She is usually not one for action,
Okay.
but but I
There's not good action in this movie though.
there's not a
So-
whole lot of action. But at the same time, because she's not good with long movies, I wonder if this is going to be able to keep her attention.
Ooh.
You know?
The good thing about the Batman though, Clay, is since you are gonna have a child, you can put this on when it needs to go to sleep. So so that's a positive. Anyways, let's go ahead and get on to some more news. We do have one topic that I want to talk about regarding Batman, but we're going to knock out the entertainment news first because the next biggest thing is that we got an official, I guess, statement or release date for we already knew that this game was delayed, which this is Suicide Squad kills the Justice League. This game, I'm pretty sure we reported that it was delayed, right? It was being delayed to 2023.
There was speculation that it had been pushed to 2023. There was no
So that was never confirmed?
Yeah,
Okay.
there was no official word from the studios or any of the developers or anything like that. It was just like, hey, there's word that this game might be pushed to 2023.
Yeah.
And we did report that. Me being the very
Optimist.
hopeful individual that I was with both of those games, I said that, okay, cool. One's going to drop in the fall of last year and the other one would drop like near the summer of this year. Clearly not going to happen. But I said in the Discord, I'm totally fine with this. We get Gotham Knights in October in the fall of this year. And that gives us at least 4 to 5 months with Gotham Knights before Suicide Squad even becomes available.
Yeah. And that's how it should be. I think there should have been at least a 6-month gap in between, if not a year. That's if this game comes out in March. So, it could possibly, I don't think it'll get as delayed as much as the Flash movie, but it is very possible games get delayed all the time. And,
Yeah.
I think studios, after what happened with Cyberpunk, are very cautious about releasing games nowadays.
Did you hear that they're releasing another game?
The Cyberpunk studio?
Yeah.
Oh, no. What is it called?
It's another addition to the Witcher series.
Oh, yeah. Somebody was talking about that in my live stream the other day. So,
yeah, but like
I never played The Witcher.
everybody has been dogging on them. They're like, coming soon, 2027, maybe.
Yeah.
And the DLC for the completed game in 2045.
Yeah. Dude, that was probably the most worst release ever. And I think that's the reason why something like Elden Ring is getting so much praise is one, the game is a complete game. I have not heard of crazy, insane glitches that are breaking the game or that make the game shitty or whatever. And I also hear that there's no microtransactions at all in the game. So it is just a complete game by itself. And yeah, that's pretty fire. So I've been hearing a lot of good things about that. But yeah, Suicide Squad officially delayed to, if I'm not mistaken, spring, right? Or did they say March? Did they say
said
an actual
spring. They only said spring of 2023, which does mean if they can push it, they can push it because it's so vague for the release date.
Yeah. You can say spring is that's a 3-month release window. You know what I mean? They can push it to the very end and be like, oh yeah, we got to push it to the fall now for Christmas or whatever. So I would not be surprised to see it get pushed to the fall. those games are perfect for the holiday
it
season.
just worries me for what kind of game it is. Or like
Yeah.
because I had said when we did announce that this was being pushed, um, is it going to be a game like Marvel's Avengers? Because that
Hmm.
was the big speculation. And they saw the backlash of that game, so are they having to rework the game? Like,
Yeah.
because that would be pretty fucked.
Yeah, I just don't know. Like, can you do something that easily? You know what I mean? Like fighting mechanics and everything. Like, it just seems pretty insane. Um, yeah, I don't know. I saw an article recently that people are really pissed at Marvel still because there's supposed to be a patch that got delayed or
Hmm.
something, and
Yeah,
people are just like, I'm just uninstalling it.
like with that game. Honestly, it is. I don't play it as much because it turned out to be a Destiny type of game. Very
Uh,
repetitive, playing the game, playing the levels over and over and over again. You know, boosting your grinding your levels for each character, getting
yeah.
all this armor and whatnot. I have played that game in the last year probably 3 or 4 times because
Hmm.
the addition of Black Panther and the addition of Spider-Man, and that's it.
Yeah. Yeah, see, the although like nothing ever interested me about that game, but I'm not really a Marvel dude. Although I have played Spider-Man and I enjoy that game. But at least with Suicide Squad, it seems like there's a story. Does that game have a story?
It does have a story. But then like after the story ends, it's like, hey, there's still all of this stuff that you can do, but
Yeah.
really all it is the same levels you played via in story, but now on a multiplayer type of landscape.
Yeah. So I'm curious. I mean, I guess Gotham Knights is going to be our first like experience with this, but I wonder if it's going to be just a main story that your friends can join in with you and you can play it no matter how you want to play it, or if it's going to be something a la like how Genshin Impact is, where it's an open world kind of thing and you have to go to different areas and just do the missions there.
See, and I wonder if it's also something like a Dark Souls or Elden Ring. In
Hmm.
Elden Ring, you can play multiplayer, but it's mainly just for like large bosses.
Okay.
So, what if we as individuals in Gotham Knights can just chill out and do whatever, play the story and whatnot, but like fucking Bane is kicking our ass. Well, you
Yeah.
call in a friend and have fun playing with 2 players while beating up
Yeah.
a whole like mission just for the boss. I think that could be fun.
Yeah, I mean, with Genshin Impact, so it is kind of grindy, but I play Genshin Impact every single day still.
Yeah.
Granted, there's a reason to play it every single day because you can get up, you can get the wishes to get new characters in the future.
See, and
Um,
that is something that I would be interested in. Like, I say interested in. Do you think a gotcha game can work for something like an IP of DC?
yeah, but I think it would need to be. I the thing is, it who are you going to give out for free? You know what I mean? Who are going to be the core characters? Because if you give out the Justice League, that who's going to give a fuck about anybody else? Like that's the thing. So your core characters have to be like C-list characters, and then eventually there's going to be like a Batman drop, a Superman drop, Wonder Woman drop, like
Yeah.
shit like that. And that's why you can save up and try to do stuff like that. And in between, you'll have like a cyborg. And as long as you're making, this is the thing I know about Genshin. One, if it's the female characters, if they're hot, it'll sell. And if they look cool when they do their special, then it'll sell too. Because I just buy all the waifus in that game, but I don't use all of them because some of their abilities suck. And so I'm just like, meh.
Juice over here hoping for Power Girl in her boob window.
Dude, fire. I'd pull for it immediately. Come on. But it all depends on how cool the specials look. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the one thing. If they have a really cool special, I'm totally buying it. Because you see that all the time when you're using them.
Yeah.
So yeah, it would just have to be something very interesting looking. And I think people would do it. But yeah, you can't. I don't think it would work if it's like multiple different costumes for a character. You can't just like gotcha for that. Unless that's going to be something that's what they are doing. You gotcha for a particular type of outfit.
Yeah.
But having to buy outfits like that doesn't really work. Like, I think buying characters or buying wishes to get characters makes sense, and just being able to buy outfits outright is better. But if you can, like, maybe, there's like a different kind of free currency that they'll let you roll for to get outfits, I think that would be better.
Yeah.
But yeah, the moment you start being like all the cool shit is behind a paywall, then people will be like, nah, fuck that. You can play free to play on Genshin if you want to, but you're going to grind. So it's just really up there. I think it could work, but I don't know. Anyways, that's what to expect from Gotham Knights in the future. Not Gotham Knights, Suicide Squad. But moving on to Gotham Knights, the TV show that nobody seems to care about, they came out and announced that they have now hired an actor to play Two-Face in this show. This show seems like it's hiring a lot of people, and it's just the pilot. Like,
So I will say this. I said to all of my friends that were talking about this casting is it's a great casting for a horrible show.
yeah,
The actual actor who's going to be playing Two-Face is Misha Collins. He is most famous for playing an angel on the show Supernatural. Um, he is great. I love the work that he's done in the past, and of course he has a relationship with the CW. So one thing if you don't know about the CW is that they love to use prior actors.
yep.
They cycle through shows like fucking crazy. So having Misha be a part of a DC property is cool. Unfortunately, being a part of this particular DC property, it's not going to look great for him.
Uh, if you had to put a bet on this, what would you bet that it gets picked up to go to pilot? I mean, to go to series.
I don't think it does. I think it gets the pilot. It gets the pilot. I don't think it goes to series.
I hope it doesn't go to series, and that's unfortunate. But I just don't want. I don't think this show's going to do well. I think it's going to be terrible, and I don't think it's a good thing when you have the showrunner. I think it's the showrunners or writers. I'm not too sure. Jumping from Batwoman to go to this show, which is Batwoman. We just found out CW renewed a bunch of shows. Batwoman is not one of them at the moment. It could still get renewed, but at the moment it is not. And so I'm curious if they knew, like, all right, we're not getting another season with Batwoman, so let's take these jobs to go over and try to get, freaking Gotham Knights off the floor. So if people from Batwoman are going to be in charge of this, it just makes it even worse for me.
It's so weird because again, it is old news that The Flash got renewed for season 9 because it did leak out that Grant Gustin was getting paid like $200,000 for each episode. But right now, from where we were in the CW shows, stacked with superheroes, planned events, all this other stuff, people were legitimately like wanting to watch these shows to where we are now. The only show I hear people talking about is Superman and Lois. Recently, Legends was the talk of the town because they finally showed Booster Gold.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, it is. Oh shit, I forgot his name. Dude from Scrubs.
Oh yeah. I know who you're talking about. The black guy, right?
Yeah, he is Booster Gold, and then everybody was like, "Oh, well, what's his name needs to be Ted Kord, and they can have a reunion for Scrubs and stuff."
Yeah,
I think it would be cool, a little meta, but I mean, it's 2022. People love nostalgia.
Yeah.
But even Legends has not yet been renewed for their seasons yet.
That'd be hilarious if it got canceled right when it becomes Booster Gold.
Has not even been renewed yet.
I still can't believe that got the series.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not looking great for superhero shows on CW. So I think they're gonna probably give the boot to a lot of them to try out new stuff. You have that John Diggle like DCU show or whatever it's called.
That doesn't need to move on either.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. But I think that's what they're going to attempt to do.
They should move Titans to CW. It makes sense for them.
Yeah. Oh,
She's moving
and
to CW.
Stargirl got Stargirl finished filming season 3,
Hmm.
but it hasn't even had a date yet, so we don't know when that's gonna drop.
I didn't even know that show was still on either. I don't watch any of those shows, man. They're just not interesting to me. And I don't see anything getting me to go back. I hear good stuff about Superman and Lois, but I'm just like, I don't really care about any of those shows.
Well,
Um,
the characters in there, like there's nothing Batman related to really keep you like
yeah,
engaged in it, you know?
yeah. I mean, a good show is a good show, so I don't need it to be something like that. But the time, man. How many episodes is it? Like, is it 24 a season?
No, I think it's last season was 15, and I think this
Hmm.
one is either 13 or 15. They
Yeah,
keep it on the
45
shorter
minutes
side.
each.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, man. It's just so hard for me to pick up shows nowadays. I blame it on anime, and I also blame it on just not having time. So, because anime, you can blaze through 3 episodes in an hour. So it's just like, yeah, boom, 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 you know? You
Yeah.
can knock out so many. But, anyways, let's move on to a topic that had, I don't want to say the Discord was buzzing, but it was an interesting topic that happened this week between just a variety of people in the conversation. I don't think it was anybody in particular. But the discussion of Batman's no kill rule came up. And essentially, what it boiled down to was one of the people in Discord was saying that people focus on the Batman no kill rule too much. Like it's too much a part of the character and it doesn't need to be focused on. And they were referring to the movies and stuff. And the comparison was that no, like so many other heroes have a no kill rule, but nobody focuses on that. It's only with Batman. And now this could also be compared to how Batman is the only hero that everybody feels like it needs to be realistic when he doesn't need to be. We've had that conversation before too.
Yeah.
But I ended up tagging Clay because I made the comparison. This person was like, Superman has a no kill rule and they don't focus on it. And I was like, I would disagree that, he said that the no kill rule for Superman is just as important as it is for Batman. And I said, I disagree. And I was all, when Batman saw his parents die, or Bruce saw his parents die, Batman was born in that moment, and his no kill rule was born in that moment too, because he never wanted anybody to experience what he had to experience. So life is very important to him. And I feel Clark Kent was taught to how
Yes.
important life was. And that's why
Yeah.
I tagged Clay.
Yeah. So
So,
what I said here is I said Superman's no kill rule is fundamental only in the fact that he's a good person. He's a
yeah.
good guy. He was taught by what is seemingly the perfect parents in all of DC continuity. The Kents have like the highest moral compass,
Mhm.
um, almost like that of, for those of you who are Marvel fans, Uncle Ben to Spider Man. Like
Yeah.
that's just what it is. Uh, so what I also said is that at a young age, Clark became fully aware to his powers and was like, "Oh shit, like I'm not just like somebody who could just, I his parents basically said, "Hey, you have these powers. You have to be careful. You could either really hurt somebody
Hmm.
or you could, because they did not shy away from the fact that he had powers, and so they said, you know what, you could be a bad person, you
Yeah.
could, hurt the people that hurt you or hurt the people that hurt us or the people that you love, or you could force people to do whatever you want, but is forcing that upon somebody the right thing to do? Again, their moral compass.
Hmm.
So even in the golden age of comics, I use this as a example because I think it's absolutely hilarious. In the golden age of comics, he was flying around the multiverse and he sneezed and he destroyed an entire universe. Like that's how fucking powerful he is.
Yeah.
And so when he became that aware, he was like, yeah, I can't do this. And so he just chooses not to kill because of who he was taught by.
Yeah.
So with Batman, I said this at the very end of my small little rant. I said, uh, Bruce's no kill rule is what created the Batman. Superman's no kill rule is what made him good. His no kill rule did not create Superman.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like it's not. like when I think of Superman, the first thing I don't think about his no kill rule. You know what I mean? I
Mhm.
think of a person that's just trying to save the world all the time. Like that's what I think of. Or like a savior, and they, a god among men,
Yeah.
literally. And the no kill rule is fucking probably not in the top 5 things I think about when it comes to Superman. Um, and with Wonder Woman, I mean, she kills, so it's not even a problem.
Yeah,
But like,
I said most people in DC have a no kill rule.
yeah,
But honestly and truthfully, the no kill rule in DC, as funny as it is, with other heroes, they see it as like, oh, Superman wouldn't kill, so I'm not gonna kill.
yeah,
But like you have heroes like Aquaman and Wonder Woman that are just like, yeah, slice head, and then
yeah.
and then you were like, oh yeah, Wonder Woman's funny. Wonder Woman, I'm gonna save people with the power of love. Also, Wonder Woman slices off head.
Yeah. I mean, it's what she does, right? But I think it's because characters like, and I mentioned this in the Discord too. I feel like it's okay, or it's believable, or works with characters like Wonder Woman and Aquaman because they come from war torn societies.
Mhm.
Like the Amazons have fought in so many wars. The Atlanteans have fought in so many wars, and their societies still train every single day as if there's going to be a war. Like it's just what they do. And so it's believable, but I think Aquaman and Wonder Woman want to be heroes so bad that they try not to do it unless it's absolutely necessary. And
Yeah.
so that's why you don't see them. And that's why they focus on Wonder Woman not, she's trying to do things like through words and all this other kind of stuff, compassion and shit, when she could easily just chop everybody's heads off. And that was probably the downfall, and another reason why a lot of people didn't like 1984 was because they got rid of her sword, and they were like, that's like such an integral part of the
Oh,
character.
so
Like,
the boys actually threw shade at 1984 um with their Wonder Woman character. I can't remember her
uh-huh.
name.
Oh
Um
yeah, yeah.
but
I know
the
what you're
the
talking about.
the tweet was I know lassos are great, but this season calls for a fucking sword. And so like
Oh,
the
nice.
gif was her like deflecting something with a sword, and I was like, "Oh shit."
Yeah, that was a stupid thing for Patty Jenkins to do, in my opinion. Like, I mean, I understand because she uses a sword today. Like, it's
Yeah.
not just a lasso. So, like, I think it was just a stupid character move. I hope that they bring it back in the modern day stuff. Although it's also because she's used it in modern day. Like the Zack Snyder stuff, she used a sword. So it doesn't, continuity wise, it doesn't make sense if she didn't have one.
Yeah.
Um, and I hope whoever's in charge of these other movies that she may or may not be cameoing in give her a sword if she's fighting. Um, because yeah, she's super strong and she can do all that kind of stuff, but a sword's just cool. Like, you don't get to see that in too many films anymore. Like, unless
No,
it's
you
ninjas
don't.
and samurais, like, dude, give me a hero with a fucking sword and shield. Like, everybody loves Sparta. Like, why not give the one badass woman a fucking sword and make her look badass? Like, who cares? Like, I don't know. But oh yeah, she's gonna talk shit out and use a lasso. It's like, no! Like, what the fuck? Like, make her cool. Like, Jesus. Anyways, so yeah, going back to the no kill rule, I mean, do you feel like the movies have ever focused on that? Like, I was just kind of confused by the convo. Like,
No, they haven't. And I was talking to my other co-host and my other show about what we had talked about last week with the Gotham Knights movie.
mm-hmm,
You know, does it really rewrite the idea that Keaton is going to come back, post Flashpoint? And are we going to just ignore the fact that he just killed a fuck ton of people
yeah,
in his movies? And there's a part of me that thinks that they will.
mm-hmm,
And then somebody in our comment section said, "Oh my God, I think I would die if there was a monologue from Keaton giving the no kill rule speech." And it made me think, other than Bale,
mm-hmm.
no one has talked about a no kill rule.
Yeah. I feel like they kind of hinted at it in the Batman, but they didn't talk about it.
In the Batman, Catwoman tries to kill
Yeah.
Falcone.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, "No, if you do that, you can't go back."
Yeah.
But it's a quick scene,
Yeah.
and they don't really sit on it. And you don't really, of course, we know because we're all fans of Batman. We know the origins of Batman,
Yeah.
but we still haven't really seen this Bruce Wayne's backstory in the sense to know how much that affected him, other than the fact that he is Batman now, you
Yeah.
know? So it's a quick scene. Everybody knows why he's saying it, but it didn't impact me as much as I wanted it to, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I totally get that. And yeah, so I just thought the conversation was kind of weird for somebody to say that they focus on it too much. And even in like of course they do it in the comics, but it's the comics. Like but again, I don't think it's like thrown in our face. You know what I mean?
I think fans throw it in the face of fans more
Oh, of
so
course.
than the actual topic in said media is said. Like
Yeah.
it's talked about in the comics when Batman is confronting somebody who is new to the scene of in comics, and like what we're going to be talking about today, the boy. There's
Mhm.
going to be a scene where Batman gives the semi no kill rule there.
Yeah.
He like it's actually not said a whole lot in comics.
Mhm.
We have seen it
It's
maybe a
usually
handful
other
of times in
people.
animation.
He doesn't bring it up. It's usually somebody saying, "Why don't you kill? Like, why don't you do this?" And that's
Yes.
when we hear about it
And
because it happened in Batcat.
a lot of people point specifically to the monologue that is in Under the Red Hood
Yes.
and in that movie as well,
Hmm.
because it's almost verbatim in the comic and in the animated movie.
Yeah.
Which I would love to see a Batman on live action screen give that speech and like see the raw emotion and everything else, but I haven't seen it.
I don't want to see that if it's not in Red Hood. I fucking hate when iconic things happen in movies that are not that story. It's just like, kind of shitty. I also hate when people take things from iconic stuff and try to add to them in not so great ways. Like they reference it, a la fucking Kevin Smith saying Batman peed himself after the fucking year one thing. Like, fuck you, Kevin Smith.
Uh,
Like, um,
People,
why?
he will never let it go.
No. Mm-mm. No. And Kevin Smith says the same thing. He was like, yeah, people just always talk shit about that. I'm like, you wrote it. You did it. Why would you do that? Like, it makes no sense. Like, how do you think that's
Oh
a good
shit.
idea? How do you think that's a good idea? I think when you're adding something like that to a story, you should always say, does this make the character look better or does it make them look worse? So you should always ask yourself. Because if it's not adding to an epic moment, don't fucking do it. And you should probably ask people around you, be like, you think it's a good idea? Because I would have been like, Kevin, are you fucking high all the time? Like writing this? You fucking shitting me? Like, no, this is fucking stupid. But that wasn't
Oh
the only bad
shit.
thing he's done while writing.
No,
Which
no, not at all.
which got us onto a different conversation in the Discord as well about people wanting like people that love Batman to also direct movies. And just because someone loves Batman doesn't mean they're going to be a good director of a Batman movie. We just want to throw that out there because Kevin Smith loves comics. I don't think he's a great writer, at least not of Batman, and that's a lot of people. So his Batman stories are some of the worst that I've read.
For for me, when it comes to Kevin Smith, I think that he is the kid in a candy store.
Yes.
He is the stereotypical, I'm going to go run to my favorite comic shop, read the book before I even leave the shop, and then spend hours with my friends talking and pretending and getting my action figures. He is the giant nerd. I'm not saying that's a
Yeah.
bad thing. He is the giant nerd. So his way of thinking as a giant nerd is the fun, fantastical, like just campy things.
I'd agree with that. Yeah, yeah. That makes sense.
So I think his work is best in what
When you're
he has
high.
done. No, in the stuff that he has done for the Flash. He
Yeah.
directed
Yeah.
several episodes of The Flash on CW. They
Hmm.
were quite possibly the best episodes on The Flash
Yeah.
because not only is it somebody who has worked in the business of directing and everything else, but it's somebody who understands the criteria.
Yeah.
So I give him props for that. We did enjoy the Detective 1000 story as well.
That one was good. That was probably one of the best ones he's ever done.
But like
Cacophony,
me as
terrible.
a Green Arrow fan, I did not like his run on Green Arrow. Like
See, I heard that was good. I haven't read it.
there's some moments where I'm like, "Oh fuck, Kevin, like why weren't you writing like this like back when you were writing for fucking Batman? What the fuck?"
Yeah.
But like there are moments where I'm just like, may have been too much here. You know, he
Yeah.
always goes the extra mile on things that he shouldn't go the extra mile on.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like Batman it came off as a teenager writing it. Like if
Mhm.
you read it, because he has Poison Ivy giving off like pheromones to like get Batman to like try to sleep with her, and also like offers Batman weed or some shit as Poison Ivy, and I'm just like, bro. And then his name's Dee Dee in the fucking thing because he bangs Silver St. Cloud 12 times in a night or some bullshit. Like it was just
Jesus.
a teenage wet dream writing that. And I think that's why the story in Detective 1000 blew me away so much because I didn't think Kevin Smith could write like that. And I was like, wow, why? I don't know. And I think I approach it differently, right? Like the way you explained it, the way he probably writes it is a very good like visual for me. I'm like, oh, you know what? That kind of makes sense. I
Yeah.
can understand that. But I guess for me, if I only had ever one opportunity to work on Batman, I am going to try to put out the best fucking story I can. And I think that's how I approach shit. Because I don't know, people from where we grew up don't usually have a lot of fucking opportunities to do cool shit. You know what I mean? So you have to seize these cool opportunities. And I feel like that's why I take like writing or just kind of things a lot differently or more serious. Whereas Kevin Smith was like, I'm popular. I'm a director. I'm going to get these opportunities. Kind of like Danny DeVito, right? Like that story wasn't great, but
Jesus.
he's still Danny DeVito. He's a
Which is why
badass.
I'm not looking forward to freaking Riddler year one. Like,
Yeah, I cannot believe they're giving Dano that. Like, I don't understand it. I don't care.
dude, DC got so much shit for not crediting the artist on that post.
Really?
They had to delete the post and then credit the artist because so many fans were like, "Well, who's writing it? I mean,
Yeah.
who's drawing it? Is Dano drawing it? Is Dano drawing it? Is
Yeah.
Dano the only person that's doing this entire? Where's the letterer?" Like, so it took a while, but they finally deleted the post and then put the artist on there also.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I mean that fight to always credit artists and shit is always ongoing. But I'm glad there's people. If there's one thing to bitch about on the internet, it's shit like that. Like to
Yeah.
credit people properly. Because as a creator in the YouTube space, I try my best to credit either within the video or like a link in the description or something like that. I'm not 100% on it, but I try to go out of the way to do that in a lot of stuff. But yeah, so that's good there. But yeah, that's our thoughts on the no kill rule. Let us know what you think about it in that comment sections down below. But if you're on YouTube, but now we're gonna go over to viewer questions. And we don't have any on the YouTube. Come on, YouTube, what are you doing over
Yeah,
there?
none on the YouTube, but we got a shit ton in the Discord. Um,
Yeah.
so one thing that I have now made a new thing is every Wednesday, I go on to the Discord channel of Batman News Weekly and I ask everybody for their questions. So that way it takes a full 24 hours for everybody to give their chance to ask a question, only one question.
Yep.
And then we see what we come up with. Now, our very first question is from Charlie. This one is very interesting. He says, "What is a villain out of any universe you think would be a good match for Batman in comics, movies, or worldwide?"
Um, I don't know. I feel like I'd want to see. Marvel's too easy, so I'd want him to go fight somebody like on a like somebody. I don't know, like somebody from like an Ed Brubaker run, like a villain from Ed Brubaker's run. Like there's a society in 100 Bullets that goes around killing people. And there's this one guy that gives out the 100 bullets to people to get their revenge. I would love Batman to like go and fight an organization like that. Something small. I don't need him fighting fucking Thanos or anything like that. I just want a grounded story. I just want like a story that is, fighting mob bosses or something, and just like a mob boss from another area would be kind of cool. But
So he said, out of any universe, comics, movies, whatever. So again, taking a grounded approach, Batman versus Dexter.
oh, damn, that's a good shout. I mean, the last few seasons weren't great, but it's still a good shout.
Yeah. So like,
Damn.
think of it like Professor Pig, but like a million times smarter.
Yeah. That's actually a really good shout. They should
Because
somebody should
then
write that.
because the thing is, Dexter, because here's a funny thing about me giving this shout out. I haven't seen Dexter. So
Really?
yeah, I know the ending to the
Yeah.
series, and I
Well,
know the
they
ending
just
to
came back.
I know the ending
Oh,
already.
I haven't watched that
Yeah.
yet, so
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm not gonna spoil it.
Okay.
But the funny thing about that, in the conversation that we literally just had, from what I know about the series, is that Dexter kills bad people.
Mm-hmm.
So like, there could be a no kill rule monologue
Yeah.
between Batman and Dexter.
Yeah.
And I just think that would be fucking amazing.
I think it would be great. And yeah, it would. I feel like a lot of people would be like, "Oh, Batman should be able to kick Dexter's ass." Blah blah blah. Dexter's actually pretty badass in that show. And his dad was a former police officer, so pretty interesting stuff. That would actually be, yeah. That is a good. That should be just a what do they call it? A crossover comic.
Yeah.
Like 6 issues. Somebody write that. Like that would be fucking fire.
I wonder who owns
Showtime.
Well, Showtime. But
Mhm.
who owns Showtime?
I don't know. Probably Viacom, probably.
Like I would want to know who has the like novelty rights to it to
Yeah.
write the comic. Because then if DC can just be like, "Hey, we're going to slide you this much money, and now our new Black Label book is going to be a 3-issue mini, 50 pages each of
Yeah.
freaking Dexter versus Batman."
That would be really good, man. I think that'd be fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Dexter's a show to worth watching. It's funny because like season 1, season 2 are bangers. Season 3 kind of falls down. Season 4 and 5 I think are fucking phenomenal. And then I think I don't know how many. I think there's 8 seasons, but I know that last season is just fucking garbage the way it ended. And I was just like, it's a good show though.
So next question, Ethan, you've already answered this.
Yes. Ugh.
So
Yes.
Ethan says, well, mine will be, if you were a writer and a producer of Gotham, then how would you write it? Would you always complain about the lack of character development and repeat storylines? And you said, what'd you say? You said, I would write it better. I think
Yeah, I'd write it well because that's apparently proper grammar or whatever.
And then Ethan, because I haven't seen more than season 1, and then so Ethan said, well, Clay can give an answer on how he would write a show like Gotham.
Mm-hmm.
We were going to get it, and then the guy from Empire walked away, so we will never get that series. I would use
that was Boardwalk Empire.
Yeah, I would use Gotham Central as the blueprint.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that I would do it panel by panel, but like also fucking Watchmen, Zack Snyder's Watchmen series or show, or not show, movie, was almost panel by panel. And I still think that was a pretty legit movie. So like, it could work.
Yeah.
But it has to center around the actual officers. Batman can only be a character that's in the background, and you don't sell it as a Batman show.
Yeah.
That's what you do.
Yeah, I would have done Gotham Central. That's what it should have been. That's what they wanted to start out doing, and then it wasn't. Well, the problem Gotham had in season 1 was they did the flavor of the week character, whereas they introduced him the first episode and then they got him the same episode, and that's just not. It builds no interest.
Yeah.
Until they had like 2-part episodes, and the arc at the end is when it really started getting interesting because you're like, oh, they haven't caught this guy this episode. I wonder what's going to happen next. But then again, like I've said a million times on this fucking podcast, Gotham should have ended at season 3. If it would have ended at season 3, I think people, you know what? If it would have ended at season 3, I guarantee you, and it would have got canceled. I feel like it's one of those shows that could have been brought back and could have been better because it took time off. Because a lot of these shows that have returned, I feel like are better for coming back. Mm-hmm. But since you can just, dude, if you ever like, maybe, you know what? Maybe we'll do a Patreon. And if we get a certain limit, Clay will have to watch Gotham. Maybe that's what we do. Maybe that's something we do in the future. But yeah, shit. Like, because you can put like, if we do pay, you can put like goals and shit. And if it's a higher goal than that, it's like Juice has to rewatch Gotham. And it's like, oh fuck.
Juice will have to. You know what? If that's the case, Juice will have to watch the finales of every season and then be there for the conversation for it.
Yeah, I'd have to definitely rewatch it. But for sure would be like, I don't know, man. If you ever do go watch it, is what I was saying. You can tell if you watch the end of season 3, the show was meant to end there. It was totally meant to end there. And when they come back for season 4 and 5, they are just fucking pulling shit out of their ass. Like, it is just, they had no direction. You could tell. And if they say they do,
like when I saw the news that Fish Mooney was coming back for season 2, I was like, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was wild. And then that happens throughout a majority of the season. People just come back. Like, jeez. And sometimes they don't even explain how they come back. They just they're there, and you're just like, wow. And it's I love that people are just like, I don't know, Juice, think you're a little too hard on the show. I'm like, no, I'm not. I don't know if I could be harder on the show if I wanted to. But yeah, so there's that question, Ethan.
So we did miss one from Young between Charlie and Ethan. He says, any non-DC or Marvel projects you're looking forward to?
Fucking, I don't know. There was some booby anime that I showed on my live stream yesterday. Yeah. So that, I mean, there's not anything I'm like super looking forward to right now. Like I'm intrigued by the Game of Thrones that has Matt Smith in it. Oh, you know what? That's a lie. I'm intrigued on what's happening next on Doctor Who, because we're getting a new showrunner. There are rumors because, dude, he's coming back during the 60th anniversary. It's coming up. So there's rumors that Tennant and some other people are coming back for the anniversary. That's what I'm excited for.
Dude, it's already been 10 years.
Yeah, it's getting close. Dude, we've had two doctors since then, and they don't have a season every year.
Oh no!
Yeah,
time has gone by so fucking fast. Oh shit!
Because what we had Capaldi for 3 seasons. Yeah, we've had what's her name for 3 seasons.
Jodie for 3.
Yeah. And they weren't consecutive years.
No,
it's been like a year since
they've taken a break.
Yeah. So because also remember, because Matt Smith came after that, but I don't think Matt Smith like ended immediately. I think there was a year gap between Christmas episodes, right? I'm pretty sure.
There might have been. Because it was the 2-parter for his ending.
Yeah.
And then he didn't have a Christmas episode.
I think his ending was a Christmas episode though.
Yeah.
Because it's in the town of Christmas.
Yes.
If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
I've been watching a lot of Doctor Who highlights lately. I've been wanting to go back. Well, there's channels out there that do like the best of the Doctor, so you're hitting the highlights. But It's funny because I rewatched the series because people that do those highlights always miss the little good parts. And I'm like, no, I need these little good parts. Like these are the fucking some of the best stuff. But there's also people out there that do like 10-minute videos of like the Doctor just being sassy, and I fucking love them. It's just like the best quips coming back. It's fucking great.
Oh man.
So yeah, I've been watching a lot. Like if you were to look at my timeline right now, it's just fucking Doctor Who. But I've been avoiding Jodie because I haven't seen last season.
Yeah, no, I haven't seen that last season either.
Is it on
Wh-
HBO?
I was gonna ask. I was
Yeah, I
literally
haven't
just about
seen.
to ask
Yeah,
if it
I
comes
haven't
out
seen
on
it.
HBO Max soon.
Yeah.
Um, for me, projects that aren't Marvel and DC that I am hyped for, you know what? As scary as it is, I'm a little excited for one, uh, Avatar: The Last Airbender, the live action series that is
Oh, I
coming
thought
on
you meant
Netflix.
the
No,
fucking
not James
cat
Cameron.
people.
No,
Yeah, I was like,
no,
what?
no,
Okay.
not excited for that. It's been
Yeah.
way too long for that sequel. And then also, it was just announced that there is currently a bidding war for Voltron live action going on
Mm.
that will eventually make it onto the big screen. And I love the Netflix series for that, which was really, really fun. Highly
Isn't
recommend
Netflix
it.
doing Gundam?
Uh, there hasn't been any news on that actually.
Yeah. I don't know. That's the only thing I'd be really interested in because seeing the Gundam in Ready
You,
Player One was amazing.
You know, now that I think about it, there was an announcement for like Godzilla, King Kong, and Laura Croft animes on Netflix, and there has been no news about it
Yeah.
at
Who
all.
knows? Who knows? All I worry about is Netflix giving me another season of Kageguryo or Kageguri. Gurui? I always say it wrong, but they're coming out with like a spin-off of it that's the prequel, so I'm just waiting for that because I fucking love that series.
So, moving on to other questions, Wix, are Wix?
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, he asks, so in the comics, Batman usually has a skin tight suit. Would you think that they would even make a suit that's more skin tight? Maybe some CGI like Tom Holland's Spider-Man suits in the movies.
Never want to see that. Never. And you want to know why? Just go look at fucking Moon Knight. I don't think Moon Knight has a real suit in that series.
I think it's I think that it's both. I think it's mixed with CGI and uh and practical. The only problem is I think that they CGI'd the wrong parts of
Yeah.
that suit.
Did you see that last trailer?
I did.
That guy so wanted to make a Batman movie. Like, dude, that is so Batman, bro. Like, he wanted to make a Batman movie so bad.
Oh
Like,
man.
I was just like, this is fucking Moon Batman. Like, that's all it is. It's white Batman. Like,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
all it is, man. And it sucks, like, taking on those kind of characters because you're never going to get rid of that. Daredevil's Red Batman. Fucking, Black Panther's Black Batman.
I
Fucking,
will
it's just like, yeah.
I will be completely honest. I kind of want to see if they would be able to do it. Just because we've gotten the latex,
Mhm.
we've gotten uh the mix with CGI. Batman, Ben Affleck's Batman, Batfleck,
Yeah.
his cape was all CGI for the
Yeah.
most part. I think there was an actual cape for when he did things like not action sequence wise,
Yeah.
but I think it could work. Now
No, it can for sure.
the only problem that I see though is how do they make it look good via whoever is going to be the next DCEU Batman?
Yeah.
That's the problem. Because somebody like Ben Affleck having a CGI skin tight suit, don't know if that would look amazingly great on a Ben
I don't
Affleck.
think Batman should ever have a skin tight suit, to be honest. The way they do, like I said, the way they did the Ben Affleck or the fight scenes in the warehouse, which I'll talk about until something tops it, that was all practical. And look at how great that looked. It was
Yeah.
just a cape that they CGI'd and it looked fine. Because the fight scene was moving so fast that you didn't even have time to like see if it was bad CGI.
Yeah.
Whereas Spider-Man, okay, look, everybody in the fucking Discord has been like, Juice, have you seen Far Away from Home? Nah, nah, nah. Dude, I've seen some clips on YouTube. I feel like I'd hate that movie.
So it's funny that you say that because the new thing on Twitter is to absolutely shit on one particular scene for
Mm-hmm.
the CGI. So the kid who plays Flash,
Mm-hmm.
um, he is standing in like a tennis type of outfit, shorts, polo shirt, the towel, the whole nine, the
Yeah.
headband,
Country
and
Club
he's
Kid or what?
yes, country club kid,
Okay.
and he's looking at his phone, and he's in the middle of the street,
Mhm.
You can totally tell it's CGI. He is sitting
Really?
all by himself on a stage, but it's like in the middle of New York City.
Uh,
But you can totally tell that it's CGI. So many
you've seen
people,
it on Twitter?
yeah.
Send it to me. I wanna see it.
There's so
Um,
many people shitting. I will actually put it in the Discord right now.
okay, yeah. Yeah, dude, I've just seen a lot of the conversations between the Spider-Men, and I'm like, I wouldn't have liked this. Like, there's just something when they're talking about their web shooters and how they was made and shit. I was just like, I don't think I'd like this.
It's the campy conversations that
Yeah,
everybody wanted in the movie. Like
I agree.
everything that like, oh, wouldn't it be great if they did this or wouldn't it be
Yeah,
great if they did that? And I feel like people who were writing the script were also looking at Spider-Man stuff on Twitter and they were just
yeah,
like, "Oh, let's take this. Let's take this.
hmm
Let's take this. Let's put it in the movie." That's what they
yeah.
did.
And yeah, and again, I have not been a fan of this current Spider-Man, so I probably wouldn't have liked this film anyways. And I think it made a shitload of money, and I know a lot of people love Spider-Man, so I'm glad. I always say if you were wanting to like a movie, I'm glad you like it. It's just I don't think I would have liked that. I haven't liked anything Marvel since pre-Guardians. I mean, I liked Endgame. Endgame was cool, but Infinity War, only thing I remember is from the snap. I don't think anything else happened in that movie. But yeah, so anyways, that's it. Although I do want to see Black Widow, and I haven't seen that. Just because I feel like I wanted to support Scarlet on that one. But did you post it already? I have not. If you did,
I
where
have
was this
not.
at?
Holy shit! Where'd it go? Like people just stopped. Oh, you know
Yeah,
what? I think I can
just send it
find
to me
once.
off.
Yeah, I
If
will.
unless you find it.
So
What's the
the
next question
next
we got?
question would be, let's see here. Next question is,
Is it just binge worthy
I
at the very
think it
bottom?
would be because we go on to a conversation about talk about concept art. Ethan.
Yeah.
Oh, nope. I was gonna say Kids do ask something. No. So
No.
binge worthy at the very bottom asks. Considering Tom King has pretty much been doing maxi series, would you like him to do a Catwoman monthly and continue his fleshed out Batcat story series, or continue to do more contained stories? Or do you think after Killing Time, Batcat should stop right away or step aside, uh,
He
and the
should step aside. Yeah.
step aside from the Bat family at least for a little bit? Talking about Tom King.
Yeah, I mean, I'm biased, so I'll fucking take Tom King on anything, Batman related. But I would have said yes to the Catwoman thing if he wasn't already doing Killing Time. And I think the reason why is I would want to see Tom King do a heist series with Catwoman, which is pretty much what's happening.
Yeah.
So I don't think him going on to Catwoman would be any better. Although I feel like we wouldn't have this back and forth if he was on Catwoman with like, oh, she's meeting other people and doing all this kind of shit that Teenie Howard's doing at the moment. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I would take him on any other. We've said this on the podcast before. Batwoman in Afghanistan, Batwoman in that side of the world in the Middle East story, fucking fire. That's what I think he should do. Or he should do the thing that him and Tim Seeley never got to do, and that was a Nightwing Barbara Gordon series. So that's something they wanted to do, and that
Oh,
was
yeah,
supposed
yeah,
to
yeah.
explore the relationship between Barbara and Dick Grayson. But we are kind of already getting that with Tom Taylor. So,
Yes, we are.
probably wouldn't really matter there.
For me, I would genuinely say after his success of Mr. Miracle, Adam Strange, now the Human Target, I would say he needs to stay with C-list characters and
Yeah.
D-list characters. Make them relevant. Give them and his fan base a reason to purchase something to up some of these characters.
Yeah.
Because we say it all the time. We are a Batman podcast and we love Batman, but DC isn't only Batman, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So I would like to see something along the lines of that. And I'm really interested to see what his next project along those lines will be. But who
Dr.
knows?
Fate already.
Oh,
We're
well,
getting
yeah,
that
that's
soon.
true. That's true. Yeah, Dr.
Yeah.
Fate, and I forgot the title of the series already.
I mean, we know that Tom King hurts some of our viewers' feelings a lot. So you know who you are. You know who you are. But The thing is, and you can't say that this isn't true, or I don't think anybody can say that this isn't true. Tom King makes C-list characters relevant.
Yeah.
Nobody gave a fuck about fucking Mr. Miracle before that. Nobody's given a fuck about Adam Strange in years. And currently, we'll be talking about this later in Human Target, or even, fuck, we don't even need to talk about the major thing that happens in Human Target, but the Human Target. Nobody gave a fuck about that guy unless you were from, reading those books way back in the time. Nobody cares about these characters, and that's why Tom King's able to reinvent them. And the thing is, I think a lot of these C-list characters are starting to get more play because of Tom King. Look at fucking what happened with Peacemaker, right? Nobody gave a shit about Peacemaker. He gets put in the Suicide Squad, boom. He's getting so many books nowadays. Like, it's crazy. He's in everything. Look at the Guardians of the Galaxy. People, not everybody's going to be able to write fucking Batman and Iron Man and Spider-Man movies, right? Or books in those kind of genre. Although DC gives everybody a Batman book, it seems like. But if you can make your mark on a C-list character and make them relevant and bring them into the mainstream, I think that's doing so much more for writers and companies than somebody, writing a Batman book that's going to get thrown into the fucking pile of trash of other Batman books. You know what I mean? Like, let's just say we get 100 Batman books a year. What? 10 of them are good? 20 of them are good, maybe? Yeah. It's definitely like 80% are trash. And,
we kind of proved it last year when going through the top 10 Batman stories of 2021. It was rough.
Yeah, so I don't have a problem.
I just posted that photo in the Discord, by the way.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have an issue with Tom King or any writer, to be honest, taking C-list characters and trying to make them popular. Because here's the thing. If they do a bad job, nobody's going to care because nobody already cares. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, you can go do a bad story for a C-list character and people won't give a shit. I forgot who it was. I don't know if Gail Simone said she wanted to do a Plastic Man series or if she did a Plastic Man series.
She did a Plastic Man
series. She did one, right? I think it was around that time that they said they wanted to make a Plastic Man movie, and I don't think anything happened with that.
Nothing has happened because the last thing we heard from it was not only were they wanting to do a Plastic Man movie, they actually wanted to make it Plastic Woman. They wanted to make it a female character.
I wonder if that's why it died. That's my biggest thing is taking C-list characters that don't get any play and then gender swapping them or race swapping them. It's like, bro, people already don't know who the character is and you want to make it even worse? Like, that's a big thing for me. This looks awful, dude. Like, this looks like a bad Photoshop that I would do on my thumbnails. Like, this car looks horrible in the background. It looks so fake. Holy shit. Sorry for those of you, that are audio listeners, but if you've seen the movie of Spider-Man, you probably know what we're talking about, this scene with Flash Thompson. And god damn, that looks terrible. Wow. Okay, yeah. What happened to Marvel, dude? Like, why do they not care? Or do they just not want to pay for, like, location costs? And they're just like, we'll do everything CGI nowadays?
Like, you can say that the excuse is COVID, right? You could say that to a point because some of these movies were made before COVID.
Yeah.
So I'm not exactly sure, but I think it is like, hey, instead of location, because the big thing with location also, these movies have become so big, they want to keep everything secret. They don't want anything to be spoiled and whatnot. So I'm actually going to put in the Discord also a scene that is on the bridge in the movie. Mm-hmm. They actually made a giant set like in the air and then blocked it off with blue screen walls. So that way they could do the entire scene on a makeshift bridge instead of a natural bridge.
That's so weird. I get it. I understand it, I guess, to make it more realistic, but that's really odd. So the thing is with the Flash Thompson thing or Thompson or whatever, you could have shot that gorilla and it wouldn't have mattered. Like, so have you, I don't know if this is true or not, but I remember seeing a TikTok about it, that when those scenes in Elf, when he's going through New York for the first time and he's like, hey, what's up? And everybody's just kind of like, what the fuck? Like, kind of just like, what's going on? Apparently they just
That's
got a
all
camera.
natural.
Yeah, he just dressed up and they went out through New York and filmed all that shit. You could have done this with him. Like, who cares if this would have leaked? I mean, is this a particular importantly part of the film?
So you see the grates behind him on the floor?
Yeah.
Spider-Man and Mary Jane literally fall into that grate.
Oh.
So it's supposed to be
You
like
could have CGI'd that part.
they did. They
Yeah.
did.
Well, yeah, technically, I guess.
All you see is a black blur because of Spider-Man's suit. Like he is like looking at, because the big, I mean, I guess this is spoilers for No Way Home also, or No Way Home and Far From Home, because at the end of that movie was the identity of Spider-Man was put out as Peter Parker. And so Flash is literally like seeing that on his phone and he's like shocked. And then Spider-Man falls behind him into that grate. So it's supposed to be like a comedic scene.
Got you. Yeah, I don't know. God, that looks awful. Anyways, if you guys can look up that or join the Discord and see what we're talking about. So I think that is all of the viewer questions that we have. And we are now going to move on to comics. So do we want to knock out... we got to save Detective for the end. We have to save Detective because that final story is a banger. Let's talk about Deathstroke Inc. #7. Now, we're not reading this story.
No,
we haven't been covering the story, but Clay was like, we need to talk about Deathstroke Inc. #7. I'm like, oh God, what happened in this book that we need to talk about? And so we slightly talked about this.
So question though, when I said that, and after you read it, did you feel like, shit, we have to talk about it?
I thought it was stupid enough that we needed to talk about it. I didn't think it was anything important. I don't think this benefits the story in any way. I don't really even care about it, but I think it's stupid enough.
I will say next week, because here's a small tease to what we're going to be talking about. Next week, we are going to be talking about a book that is called Shadow War Alpha, which is the tie-in, the first official tie-in to the Batman Robin Deathstroke crossover.
Okay. Yeah, so we haven't been covering the book, so we're not gonna sit here and just review the whole thing. But in the last time we did talk about this book, we know that, what is his name? Respawn? Yes. Respawn teamed up with Deathstroke's daughter, and they're like, Respawn revealed his face to, what's her name? Deathstroke's daughter. I always forget it. Rose. And what's her like hero name though, or villain name? It's not Ravager or anything like that, right?
Yes, it is Ravager.
Okay, Ravager. So she sees this face. She's like, "You got to come with me. Like, you're family now, or whatever." And so they go confront Deathstroke. He reveals who this is, and he was like, and Deathstroke gets all pissed. He's like, "How are you trying to trick me? How could you bring this guy here?" And he's like, "It's not." He thinks it's Damien. Turns out it's not Damien. It's a clone.
Damien.
But it is Damien. So, God, this is so fucking dumb. Apparently, Ra's al Ghul, since fucking Damien's birth, has been cloning him. He has been cloning Damien because he was going to be the demon's head. And he was like, I need to train him, and I'm going to train him to the hardest of his abilities. And every time he gets hurt, we're going to use a clone to give him a new heart, a new liver, anything he needs. So apparently Damien's had a bunch of operations on him that we have never heard about.
Like basically if Damien got sick, they were able to create any type of antibodies or whatever because of this like petri dish of a clone that they
imagine the Matrix. The Matrix pods, but they're all Damien. That's what this was. You know? So, one of these... I don't know. So Damien ends up going away with Batman, and so Ra's al Ghul is like, I don't have my heir anymore. So he keeps one of the clones around, and he was always torturing him and beating him and all this kind of shit. And I don't even remember the fucking story. He escapes or some shit like that, or he lets him out into the world, or I don't even remember what
So
happens.
he did escape. He did
Okay.
escape. Like it's very symbolic because the chain that he actually uses is the chain that kept him hostage for all those
Yeah.
years. Uh, and the one thing that I felt was kind of stupid was the way that like it's like it's like one of these moments where I feel like Will Arnett's Lego Batman is talking and you're just
Mhm.
like face palming like, dude, no, you're going in the wrong direction. This
Yeah.
is not what we do. Because Deathstroke was like, he's my son.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he's
Because
my son. And he gets all emotional and starts to be
yeah.
like, we can work
Uh.
together and all of this. I was like, dude, you were about to beat the shit out of him because he was Damien. Guess what?
Yeah.
He's still Damien.
Yeah, so what we didn't point out there was that Ra's al Ghul was like, okay, so Damien is not going to join the dark side because he's the spawn of Bruce Wayne, right? He was
Yeah.
also, I'm going to make a different clone, which, by the way, this is really weird because he has to be using Talia's DNA too. We know Ra's doesn't give a shit about his daughters. So he's just like, give
Yeah.
me your fucking eggs or something. I don't know what he's doing to her to make these clones. But he was all like, all right, it's going to be the baby from Talia and Deathstroke. So he uses Deathstroke's DNA for this new clone, and he's gonna supposed to be the heir or whatever, and then he escapes or whatever the fuck he does with that story. I don't really care right now. I just thought this was stupid because now there's a Damien clone out there that is partially Deathstroke. And I'm like, he has a son, but apparently this is part of the story. His son died, right,
Yes.
doing something. And
So it's going to be very interesting because from what I remember of this book, uh, it looks like the moment that we see the flashback with Jericho,
mhm,
they're playing with the death of Jericho via pre New 52. Again, playing with the timeline now that we're
yeah,
in New Frontier. So, like, all the stuff that Jericho was a part of in Rebirth and New 52, I guess, isn't like a thing anymore.
I
So,
have
like,
no
again,
idea.
it's very confusing. I don't know what the fuck that they want to do here. But, like, again, that was one of the reasons why I was laughing so much is like, your brother's dead. Your brother's dead. He's dead. Jericho's dead.
Yeah.
But he's my son.
Yeah.
And, like, like,
and then and then freaking Ravenger is just like, I can't let you do this. We're gonna take you out. And fucking she gets yeeted out of a building by Respawn, right?
yeah.
Yeah. And then Deathstroke's like, she'll live. She's gonna be pissed and she's gonna come back to kill you and she won't stop, but she'll live. And I'm just like, okay, this book needs to end with her killing him. Because a Damien clone does not need to exist in this universe. I don't care. Some people out there,
But
especially John in our Discord, doesn't even want Damien to exist. So he must
but here's
love a
but here's
spawn
the
of Damien.
problem, Juice. Here's the problem. You kill this one. Like now that you've introduced the idea of cloning,
Yeah.
you can technically say there's like hundreds of Damiens
Yeah.
out there that we don't know about.
It's so stupid, dude.
It
It's
is now
so
it
dumb.
is now a MacGuffin that people can just throw into their stories now.
Yeah. 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 New Damiens, new Damiens, and new Damiens. Yeah, this was terrible. And Robin 12, I think, was just as terrible. I don't know what you thought about that.
I was so pissed. Not just because I ended up being wrong,
Mm-hmm.
but that this issue ended up being even more pointless.
Yeah.
Because the whole idea at the end of last issue, he's going to go get Alfred. He's going to resurrect him with the vial of fucking Lazarus that he has. And he goes there and he seemingly, which is stupid, he calls out that there's a fucking clone.
Yeah.
You're being a little too meta here, Williamson,
Mm-hmm.
because this isn't even a clone. He is supposed to be fighting like his inner demon.
Yeah.
But you as the reader is legitimately supposed to question, wait, is this an actual clone? Because depending on how you read things, like some people may like Robin more than they like Deathstroke.
Yeah.
So they read Robin and then they read Deathstroke and they're like, what the fuck? Was that actually a clone that he just fought?
Yeah.
Or you read Deathstroke after Robin and you're like, holy fuck, there's another fucking clone.
Yeah.
Again, MacGuffin that you can just throw into whatever story now.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah, it's like Dr. Manhattan, right? Oh, it
yeah,
was Dr. Manhattan did it. Yeah.
but also the fact that he doesn't resurrect Alfred. Again, you said Bruce needs to be there.
Yeah.
It needs to be a Bruce story for this to happen.
Yeah.
I guess now it can be, but like
The reasoning why he didn't do it was good, though. Because he knows, and he brought up what is continuity, that when you use the Lazarus water, the person comes back a little bit more evil than they
yes.
were.
Yeah.
And he doesn't think Alfred deserves that because Alfred was the best of us, essentially. And I think that's a good reasoning. And that's a good character development, that even though he is so heartbroken about what he did, he doesn't want to bring back an Alfred that would be worse. You know what I mean? And he doesn't think he deserved that. And so he breaks the vial, and it doesn't happen. I'm so glad this didn't end because he breaks it on the tombstone. I'm so glad Alfred's hand didn't come through. Yeah, I would have been so pissed.
I thought
Yeah.
the same thing.
So glad. God, you know how bad that would have been if he would have fucking came through the dirt and shit. Like,
fucking zombie.
Yeah, dude.
shit.
And he joins Task Force Z or whatever. Like, oh my god,
Oh
dude.
no, Red Hood.
Yeah. So, yeah, and then Damien joins up with Talia because she's like, "Let's go, Mom. Let's fight for the final time." Because she shows up and she's like, "I'm not gonna fight you anymore. Like, I'm here as your mother," and blah 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 blah. And then they're like, "Fine, yeah, we can do stuff together, like mom and son." And like, I don't care. Clay sent this a while back of Talia kissing Batman as a cover or something in the future.
Coming out in June.
Yeah. But she does have a battering to the back of his neck. So, Talia has raped Batman.
And-
so,
Yes, and I will say, I threw it out there just to get a reaction to Juice, for sure.
Yeah, of course.
But you have to look at it. It's like, okay, what are they doing? Right?
Yeah.
And this has to be coming out around the same time as the ending of the Shadow War crossover.
Yeah.
So like that whole storyline has now started with the idea that Talia has been used by Raish again.
Mm-hmm.
And who the fuck knows? But I tagged it as what did I say? I was like, Talia coming back to the Bat family in June.
Yeah. You know what? Like, she's gotten in the way of that relationship before, so it'll be very interesting to see what happens there. But yeah, it's so weird. I mean, I think we're going to be getting Batman 122 next week, I think, or something like that.
I believe so.
So we'll see if Williams gets back on the good writing train. But, dude, Robin's been terrible.
Well, actually, next week we have Batman Beyond, Curse of the White Knight.
Oh, yes, I opened it, and I was looking at it. I was like, ugh, we're going to have to cover this again. Like,
we do have Batman 1 Dark Knight #2.
I've been waiting for that, so I'm excited to read that. Yeah, I think I was telling Clay, next week is not Neon Year, is it? I think it's the following week. Batman Neon Year. Yeah. I think the week Neon Year comes out, I think we have a bunch of comics. I think it's like
we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Earth Prime Batwoman. Oh, you know what? No. We're not touching that.
What's that? What is that?
That's a CW tie-in.
Oh, I did open that actually, and I was like, "What the fuck is this?" And yeah, it's Ryan Wilder.
We do have Flashpoint Batman, Batman Night of Vengeance, and so we have 4 books next in 2 weeks, but it is going to be like hefty books, so we will have a lot to talk about. Yeah,
so I don't know, man. Williamson getting off, like, is good, I guess, for Batman, but I mean, we're replacing him with Chip Zdarsky. Like, I don't believe in either of those writers at the moment. I'm hoping Chip proves me wrong, man, but we've just had bad writers recently for Batman.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know
But
who could take over.
the good thing is, let's take it with let's look at it at this perspective.
Mhm.
Batman, the main title with Williamson, is in the first week of each month coming in next. So April and May,
Mhm.
and it's only once a month. So we get
Yeah.
just those 2 weeks, and then we're done with Williamson, you know?
Are we
So
only going to get Zdarsky once a month too?
it hasn't been said.
Yeah.
I can double check with some people, but
Yeah.
so far it has not been said if it's going to be bi-weekly or monthly.
Because he's still writing Daredevil and a whole bunch of other shit, right? I'm assuming it has to be monthly.
Yes, but also, I read a thread from Brad Walker, somebody
Mhm.
who has done runs of detective and other stuff in Batman related stories before. He's the
The
one that
artist, right?
does. He
He's
does.
Arkham Knight.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he does the glossed over eyes that you
Batman.
don't see.
Like big forehead Batman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he was giving a little bit of insight on this whole like not crediting artists thing,
Hmm.
and why it's so important that you do. And he kind of went on a tangent, but he has said in the past like decade or
Yeah.
decade and a half, the idea of artists doing bi-weekly books
Hmm.
is becoming harder and harder
Really?
because the attention to detail that readers find,
Uh-huh.
like, artists have now had a tendency of like becoming perfectionists basically, and
Uh,
so like the quote unquote better artists are going to take a lot longer.
Clayman.
So,
That's his excuse.
so but it gives, like, to me, I'm like, cool, make your story and then publish it. Don't
Yeah.
do it week by week or bi-weekly bi-weekly.
Hmm.
Like, just give me the trade. Give me
Yeah.
the full story to start off with. And so that way I can appreciate the art even more,
Yeah.
you know?
I feel like, I mean, we've talked about this a million times. I think comics does need to get away from the floppy versions. And I
Mhm.
think also, like, if you were to just drop it as a trade, I think this would give the books more hype. And also, you could probably see them on way more like bestseller lists because they would come out as books.
Yes, and you would be
Yeah.
able to sell them in more places than just comic shops.
Yeah. They could be on the front area of Barnes and Noble because, like, oh, you only get one Batman every year now or some shit, or however they would do it.
Yeah.
Or like every 3 months. And like, oh, yeah, fuck yeah, let's put that right at the start. Because then you have kids coming in like, oh, Batman. And then you have a whole book that they can read and be like, this is awesome. Yeah, I do think comics need to get away from the floppy versions. They're too, like, it's too much paper. It takes up too much stuff. They don't look good. You can only display them if you put them in a case or like get them graded. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
if you stop doing them that way, every other one in the past starts going up in value because they ain't making that type of comic anymore. That's how I would see it. Not every comic's going to be worth something, but if floppies don't happen anymore, you're just like, oh, okay, DC doesn't do floppies anymore, so this makes all these other ones more valuable. And
Yeah.
then, of course, people are going to start buying up all the excess, and they're going to, I think it makes it better for comics for comic shops, because one, they could still buy the hardcovers and do all that shit, but then their floppy inventory, like shit, the one you used to work at has so much,
Yeah.
it makes it more valuable. And doesn't mean people are going to buy it, but it does make them more valuable in the long run, I think.
For sure.
But it'll be very interesting. But that would, you would still need to put out enough books that comic shops could survive off of the new material. So that's the dilemma, right? All right, let's jump over to Human Target. This you have told me is controversial.
It is controversial.
We had a discussion about this in the Discord that I told Clay, like, we had this big thing. You guys can go check it out if you want to do it. But I went into this book thinking something like ridiculous was going to happen, because the conversation was that they made Guy Gardner look a certain way. And I was just like, okay, he had to have done something terrible or whatever. After reading this book, I laughed, genuinely laughed, because the conversation made no sense to me after that. And I was just like, bruh, I don't get why we had this conversation in the book. We asked for clarification and we got deflected. And I was just like, bro, come on. Um, but yeah, dude, so do we want to review this or do we want to just talk about the issue, the big thing?
Let's talk about the big thing. Because honestly, when it comes to the story, when it comes to, hey, what is the main goal of Chris, like his mission on, he's trying to find one who tried to kill Lex, who
Yeah.
intentionally, unintentionally is now killing him.
Yeah.
That is his main goal. That is not progressed at all
Mm-hmm.
in this issue.
Yeah.
But it does leave you with a big enough cliffhanger that tells you what the fuck, and now we have to wait 6 months for this book.
Yeah.
So we'll review the issue. The issue is Guy Gardner is still a problem in this book.
Mm-hmm.
That then becomes not a problem.
Yeah.
And that is the problem with a lot of people and this book.
Yeah.
So, guys, what happens is there is a controversy where Guy Gardner comes crashing into Ice's home
Mm-hmm.
and starts to fight Chris, the human target. She gets involved. Guy is basically being the creep that he is, calling her baby while fighting her.
Yeah.
Chris uses his gun, and he intentionally says, I know this isn't going to do anything to him, but it takes his mind off of her for just a split second that she needs.
Mm-hmm.
He shoots the gun, Guy deflects it, he attacks Chris, Ice freezes Guy like she did in the first issue or
Yeah.
the second issue. And through adrenaline, through whatever, the human target, Chris, walks up to Guy Gardner, punches him square in the face. His skull shatters, and then Ice tips him over.
Yeah.
Guy Gardner is dead.
Yeah. I laughed. So
Dude, I will say this. I understand the jaw-dropping moments that King does.
yeah.
They make his books they are the talk of the town when those moments happen.
Mm-hmm.
And for the first time, I will say, I don't know if I agree with this one.
Yeah, I could easily say that it wasn't necessary. I think I could easily say that as a Tom King lover here. But I will say I do appreciate that they actually have a conversation after it happens between Chase and Ice here, and they're like, we think about it, we
Only
talk about it
after having sex.
Yeah, of course, you got to do that. But the visual was cool because it was an ice cube melting with blood on it, and
Yeah,
I was like, that's pretty fire.
It was kind of disturbing.
Yeah, and King doesn't shy away from disturbing, right? So
Yeah.
I enjoy that. Did it need to happen? No. Again, I laugh because here's the thing. So just to go to the conversation that we were talking about, because this is how I came into reading this. I'm assuming the conversation that was had in our Discord, the issue that, I'm just going to say Drew. You can go read this. It's Drew. But the issue Drew had in this was, I guess, the way Guy Gardner was acting. But I feel like the issue people have here is his death. And we tried to get clarification and see what's so bad, what is your issue with the whole toxicity or whatever of Guy Gardner, which is something we've already talked about in the podcast before, and we've actually talked about in the Discord before. So I was just, I didn't understand the conversation because it makes no sense to me. Issue here.
At this point, I think Drew was more upset And I think he
About
latched
the
on.
death?
Yes, I think that he
That's what I
latched
think
on
too.
to the idea of like the toxic traits and
Yeah.
like throwing like all these accusations and stuff and putting it
Yeah.
into
Which I
like
wasn't a fan of. He did all do some name calling too. I don't take that to heart, but like, come on, you
well,
can have a better conversation there.
it is what was said in Discord. I
Yeah.
think he took all of that and which I am in one group chat
Hmm.
that is full of Tom King haters. I don't
Yeah.
talk about Tom King in there. I talk about DC Comics in there.
Yeah.
But they all hate Tom King. And that's just the main thing is Tom King sucks because he sucks. Like that
Yeah.
is like there is no talking to them about it. There is no like, hey, what if like he could write a horrible book,
Hmm.
but then write one good scene, they will not acknowledge that
Yeah.
because of how much he quote unquote sucks.
Yeah.
Here
Or
in
is
this,
it, do they do the reverse too, where he can make an amazing book, but he does one bad scene and they latch onto the bad scene? Same shit?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
So in this book in particular, was I upset that the story didn't really progress? A little bit, because then
Hmm.
I'm like, we got nothing except for this jaw-dropping, cliffhanger that I myself kind of saw as like like you said, unnecessary in the
Yeah.
sense of this. In the sense of this.
Oh, so you think the Guy Gardner's the cliffhanger and not Fire?
Fire is the cliffhanger,
Yeah.
but the cliffhanger that most people are seeing
Well, they're, yeah, for sure.
is
Guy Gardner.
now like Human Target even before, I think it was before he killed Guy Gardner or after.
Hmm.
He's talked about killing people before.
Yeah.
He's had to defend himself before. He is not a
Hmm.
superhero.
Yeah.
Okay. And we've said it in the Discord. Guy Gardner is an asshole,
Hmm.
but he's a superhero.
Yeah.
When it comes down to it, Guy is in the category of superhero.
Yeah.
So them killing the superhero, it puts in a new factor of the story
Hmm.
that I don't know if I necessarily needed because I was already latched on to the fact that somebody in the Justice League or the Justice
Yeah.
Society, or whatever you want to call them, was already attempting to kill Lex Luthor.
Hmm.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
No, I
that
agree. I
so
agree.
that is why I'm like, okay, it freaked me out. I said, oh shit.
Yeah.
But when I sat on it, I'm like, Tom King, I don't know if this was the right choice.
Yeah. So I can agree with that perspective here. My thing is I went into this again, I went into reading this because of the conversation we had. And I
Yeah.
was like, what was so upsetting about this book? And had Drew came at us with like, fuck Tom King because he killed Guy Gardner, that is a 100% valid point. But he went on these accusations of Tom King's this, Tom King's that, and like blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, I'm sorry, bro. It doesn't make sense to me because he was accusing Tom King's of all this stuff, but then that doesn't apply to all of his characters. It doesn't. And so like the conversation made no sense to me. And like if you guys want to go read this conversation, it's there in the Discord. But I don't know. I just he was like, dude, you're not paying attention. I'm like, no, it just doesn't make sense. I'm sorry. And again, we don't have to agree, everybody. If you come to the Discord, we don't have to agree on stuff. We're not going to sit here and say you have to think
And
like we think.
this isn't a attack on Drew.
No,
This
not
is
at all.
he is bringing a good conversation and
Yeah,
bringing entertainment to our podcast, and he
for
knows
sure.
this. He's he's acknowledged himself as the troll and the fact
Hmm.
checker and whatever. We appreciate it. The one thing that we're confused about is the what I would assume miscommunication
Yeah.
on why he disliked this book.
And we asked because
To
I
clarify,
like to
yeah.
get, yes, to clarify, I am somebody that I will hear you out. And me and Drew have had many conversations where we disagree on views and even just life, not just comic books. But there's a lot of things that we do agree on. So I'm just like, okay, I will always try to get down to the source of something. And if I need to ask a million questions, I'll ask a million questions as long as there's some progression here. Clay asked, what is your reasoning for this? And I was like, I actually want to know that too, because it doesn't make sense to me. And then he chose not to. He did the Captain America, I think not. I think no, or what is it? No, I don't think I will, which is the old school Captain America. And I was just like, I just said deflecting, classic. And so, Drew, you had the option to explain it. And we would have talked about your explanation here too, but I still don't think it makes sense, bro. Like the stuff you were saying, if you would have just came in here and said, fuck Tom King because he killed Guy Gardner, I would be on your boat. I'd be like, yeah, I don't think that was necessary. Now, if I am going from the perspective of reading, as a writer, if you knew you were going to take a 6-month break, I don't think you can do a better cliffhanger than this, because you're just like, what the fuck's going to happen now? And you got to wait a fucking half a year to find out. That's pretty gangster. I don't think it needed to be done, though. I think Clay makes a really solid point that I was already kind of sold on, like, all right, who's involved?
Because you're already giving us like, hey, there's already somebody bad enough in the Justice League to want to kill a supervillain.
Yeah.
Now you give us, hey, there's a big enough asshole who is also wanting to hurt his ex-girlfriend.
Yeah.
You don't need to beat the dead horse. We already know that there is a bad person in this book. And I understand that, like, oh, you have to put in more elements to, keep the reader coming along. But I think with such a good story anyway, and the aspect of the relationship that Ice and the Human Target are having, like that we said, it's giving off a really big James Bond vibe.
Yeah.
This kind of still James Bondy, but it's just like I said, you don't need to kill a superhero, especially somebody who is already considered a hero killing a superhero. It would be different if like a villain came in and killed the superhero.
Yes. But so check out this perspective. What if, because we've made this, I don't want to say accusation, but we've brought this to light before about talking to Human Target. What if Ice is the killer? So what if Ice is the killer? What if Ice was the one that did this? Because now she's involved. Guy Gardner's a problem for her.
So I thought about that as well.
Mm-hmm.
See, we're on the same wavelength. I thought about it as well. And this just puts, like, I wouldn't say the Human Target in more hot water because he's already dying.
Yeah.
But what exactly does this do? Does this, like, of course, my assumption would be, oh, well, if she's willing to kill somebody, a hero right in front of me, she definitely didn't try to poison Lex Luthor. Like, do you think that would be the assumption of Chris, or
no? So we don't know what's going on with Fire, right? Like, from what we know in this story, Chase accused Fire, and that's what made Ice pissed off. So that's something we didn't cover in this book. So we know at the end of the book, they were kind of like hooking up with each other, and then they're in the apartment here, and it starts off with them fighting. And he's like, what? Did you just fucking say that? You just fucking accused Fire. She's not a part of this, blah, blah, blah. So we know there's some strong connection between Ice and Fire. So this can go down a whole bunch of roads. It could be Ice is going to protect Fire no matter what. It could be that Fire maybe has something on Ice that she doesn't want to let know, or maybe they're just super connected that they'll do anything for each other, right? And we know that Fire seems kind of shady. Like, it just seems kind of shady. So maybe she could be manipulating Ice, or maybe Ice is the mastermind here. We don't really know. And there's so many things you can play around with that. But what could be happening here is maybe Ice she's one of those heroes that goes back and forth, right? Like, I want to be a hero, but at the same time, like, it feels like some people don't deserve to be on this earth, right? Like, that is a common thing that superheroes think about. And it's always the, like, we can't do that because then we're no longer heroes.
Yeah.
So maybe Ice has done this in the past, or maybe we'll find out some more stuff about Lex, or maybe she came back and because what we found out is she died and they brought her back. Like that was part of the conversation after Guy Gardner died, that heroes have magic miracles sometimes, that they just come back. It's what they do. And so we don't know if maybe Ice has to deal with like some Lazarus type shit where she has evil feelings towards Lex Luthor. So maybe she tried to get Lex dead, but she found out that she actually ends up killing Chase instead. So she's like, I'll help you design it and I'll keep it away from Fire, because maybe she knows Fire did it, or maybe Fire helped or whatever. She's just trying to keep him at bay long enough for him to die and nobody gets in trouble, right? And so now that this happens, she's like, fuck. And then Guy Gardner's obviously probably just causing her some problems. Could be manipulating Chase here. And since Chase is all in love with this girl, which is part of the story already, he says that she's bad news. Like getting involved with somebody is bad news. Like he's made that. But he still does it anyway because he's a man. She's hot. He's dumb. And you said it was like a thing of passion. He breaks fucking Guy Gardner's face. She tips him over. In the back of this, she could be like, there goes that problem. Don't got to deal with that shit anymore. And she knows Chase isn't really going to say anything because he's only got like 6 more days to live. They don't have to do it. And she's like, yeah,
and they're fucking.
Yeah. And at the same time, they even say it in the story that Guy turns off his locator ring. Like he just doesn't need to use it. So they're going to be like, oh, Guy's just being Guy somewhere else. And they don't have to worry about the evidence. Yep. And so she could be a mastermind here. It could be something like that, which the femme fatales in those old videos, it was always the sexy girl that was usually part of the problem, right? So if Tom King is leaning into those classic stories, this could just be part of that. Again, I think people being upset about this death, totally valid. I'm not going to sit here and be like, well, actually, Tom King did. No, I mean, that's a very valid thing. I sit here and bitch about stuff people do about Batman all the time. I don't agree with the like Guy's not an asshole thing. I mean, no, I've always seen Guy as an asshole, like always. Yeah. So like, I don't understand that argument, but being pissed that Guy Gardner's dead, I can see that. At the same time, Chase is a different type of character in this, and he has no problem with killing. I don't know enough about Ice to be like, oh yeah, she's got an origin of never killing or doing whatever either. But yeah, I don't know. I think this book it would have been more interesting had that conversation, I think maybe I would have a different perspective on it had we not had that conversation, because I went into it thinking something crazier was going to happen.
Yeah.
And it didn't. I thought he was going to be like a fucking Nazi or some crazy shit. And I'd be like, what the fuck? And I was just like, damn. Because then I would have been like, oh, that conversation makes fucking sense now. You know what I mean? Yeah. But for the most part, it's something we've already talked about. And I don't know. It was interesting. I don't know. I'm curious about what's going to happen if Guy Gardner will come back or not.
But also, just so everybody else knows who is interested in reading the story, doesn't want to hunt down the single issues in the next 4 to 6 weeks, this book is already going to be collected in its first volume.
Oh, nice.
So
I'll wait for the full hardcover.
Issues 1 through 6 in the first volume. I'm going to be doing the same. I'm going to be waiting for it to be collected in its hardcover, hopefully, as it's completed. And I'm pretty sure every single one of Tom King's Black Label stuff has been in a hardcover so far. So,
well, except for Batcat.
Yes.
Have they done a part 6, 1 through 6? I don't know if they've done that.
I actually don't know. I don't think so.
I think it would just be so weird because, technically they could, because the first 6 issues are Clayman.
Yeah.
That last issue, the last 6 will be like whatever, but they should just separate them. Once they get 3 by himself.
1 through 6, then they do the small little trade for Liam Sharp, and then they finish the hardcover with just 3 issues.
You know what? I want Clayman. I want them to do that, but Clayman does like a 3-page, like a double page spread of just like this is what happened in the last 3 issues, and it's just all this different shit that he did in a double page spread. That would be hilarious. But anyways, we're going to move on to the next thing. But again, Drew, there's no hard feelings here. You confused the fuck out of me, bro. And we wanted the clarification. You didn't provide it. So we still don't understand. If you want to clarify it in the Discord after this, be like, this is what I meant about the toxic stuff. Go for it. You told us to go search for it. But genuinely, I got a pretty good memory. I don't remember talking or hearing about that. But if you did, you know what? Feel free to tag me in the section or copy and paste your thoughts in the Discord again. But ain't no hard feelings there. And this goes out to anybody else that comes into the Discord. Again, we don't need to agree. We're totally cool to talk there. I like keeping the conversation civil, as long as all that thing that's good. We're all fine here. I love hearing different opinions. But moving on to Detective Clay, I only remember the backstory. I don't remember this front story.
Which is really, really fucking sad. Tamaki, I have lost so much faith in your ability to tell. Now, I will say, again, you had to write these probably really, really quick for them to be pushed out weekly for 10 weeks. Hopefully, you will be put on a bi-weekly schedule like you were before, and we can start getting good content. Now,
oh yeah, this whole thing made no sense. Like the way it played out.
I will say it made no fucking sense, but it looked fucking immaculate. There is one particular freaking page, two of them. One where spoiler is fucking knocking the shit out of some woman, and it just looks so good. I love that page. It looks great. And then a couple pages after that, I always like pointing these out because it's absolutely fucking ridiculous. These people are looking for Psycho Pirate. They find Psycho Pirate, and it ends up being Batman. The reveal, every single time Batman takes off a mask to reveal that he's still in the Batman costume, is always fucking hilarious.
Yeah, that's always great because his ears just point out. Sorry, I'm getting interrupted.
I saw the Discord also.
You saw the Young post?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is just interrupted from Young. If you're listening to this is fucking glorious. So has anybody out there read the Preacher comic books? Dude, Preacher, I think there's a TV show too, so you might have seen the TV show. But holy fuck, Young just posted the photo of, what was his name in the book? Asshole Kid or Arsehole? Yeah, Arseface. And dude, it looks like the Joker. Oh my god. That is a fucking great shout. Shout out to Young there. Holy crap. Joker's ass face. Wow. I just, it was funny because Clay literally looked at me and I laughed and he was like, I know exactly what he's laughing at. Holy shit. If you guys just look up ass face from Preacher and you'll see that's exactly what the Joker looks like in that new series. But anyways, going back to this, yes, Clay, dude, they didn't even talk about what's her name putting on the mask at the end. That was the big thing that was in the last issue. And I genuinely questioned, did we skip an issue? Because she literally put on the mask and I thought she was going to do something. But no, this issue starts off with reporters talking about what happened in Arkham. Then it jumps to Batman meeting with the reporter. Then it jumps to some stuff going down at the motel and what Clay just talked about. And then there's a funeral for Dr. Ware. And then we find out that What's-Her-Face from the movie is getting control of Arkham Tower. And the mayor is still in charge somehow, which you would think in real life, they would have forced somebody to step down from their position after all the shit he's been through and been a part of. But no, he's still going to be mayor going forward. And yeah, this story has sucked. It should have never been bi-weekly. Weekly. I don't understand why it was weekly or the benefit of that. The only good thing that came out of this was the backstory every week. And I think that's probably what people were buying this for. And I'm glad that, I think we talked about this on the podcast, right? Did you talk about what? Oh, no, we haven't. This is going to be part of the story, if I'm not mistaken. Are you able to share the DMs you got from it?
Yes. I am able to share those. So, do we want to talk specifically the ending, though?
No, let's review this because I think it deserves that.
Okay.
So we know in the last issue was the only negative thing we've ever said about this book was we said it felt like a filler issue. And now we know why, because it was setting up for this issue. So it technically was a filler issue. We know that the Bat family was going through 4 separate tunnels, and they were wondering why there was no water flowing through here, and they were all going to be drowned. That was the thing. But nobody drowned from our understanding. Well, we hope nobody drowned. I don't think, did they show the other people in this? Did they show Robin in them? Oh, they didn't. So we're just going to assume that everybody survived this, which I think they did. But we know that Scarecrow, Scarecrow, Croc, and who else was it? Clayface, all distracted Robin, Nightwing, and Red Hood, and because they wanted to get Batman by himself. So they get Batman by himself. He survives this rush of water. He's going through this maze of an area, and we find the Joker tied up. And the Joker's like, "Oh, you're here. Awesome. Cool." Just being very Jokery. Yeah. And then we see the boy who has a long beard, long hair. It looks like he's wearing a mask and he has a hood on. And he's surrounded by a whole bunch of other, younger people and stuff like that.
A bunch of kids, because Batman says, "Oh, you're still using children to fight your wars." And he says, "Oh, I've only learned from you." And I was like, God damn.
Yeah, and then we have Croc, Clayface, and everybody come out and secure Batman. And they're like, "You're working with these guys?" And he's all like, "I only use them to get you here." You know what I mean? This is all part of a plan because everybody wants to see what's going to happen here. And then it goes to a bloodied Batman tied up in a chair across from a Joker who's like, "I'm also not willing to participate in this." In that case, this was not clear. Because they're kind of questioning Batman, and essentially he's making a consent joke. He's like, "I didn't give my consent to be here." You know what I mean? This very Joker stuff. And what's happening here is he starts telling him "Yo, y'all are both the reason my parents are dead. Y'all are both scum in the city, and you bring problems to people. And his ultimate goal is, I want you to be here, Batman." Because you could have killed this guy a long time ago, and my parents would probably still be alive. That's essentially what he's saying. I'm not. This is not verbatim.
It's essentially, honestly, it is the Under the Red Hood story. It is Red Hood telling Batman, anybody. It could have been anybody, but it had to be him, and he's still fucking alive. The boy is basically saying to Batman, "I was living my life, and then all of a sudden, this dude assassinated my parents one day, and you did nothing."
Yeah. And he was like, "So you're going to see him die now." And he has an axe. Joker is tied up to a chair, and he is going to slam that axe down his head. And while he's in there, Batman's like, "Wait, you can't do this." And he gives him the speech. And he's like, "If anything, kill me," is what he says.
Yeah.
And he's like, "You're still protecting this guy." And he's like, and then what do you say? He's like, "Look at me. Look me in the eye and tell me that if I was your parents, he wouldn't." Okay, if it was your parents, he would kill parents he killed. You wouldn't do the same. And he's like, "No, I can't." But it still doesn't make it right.
And here's the next page is all of the difference between what we've seen Chip Zdarsky write in his Urban Legends and what Rosenberg is doing here. So he's already acknowledged, I can't make that promise. If it was me, knowing for a fact that it was this individual person that has gone on to kill more and more after years have gone by, I couldn't make that promise. And he says, this is when the boy says that he assassinated his parents. He says, "This is Batman. I understand. I've dreamt of killing him too. I promise. But we must be better. Our strength comes from what we do after we rise above. These people here depend on you. You help them, and you need to be around to do that. If you do this, I can't let you walk."
Yeah.
That whole that's it's literally one panel. Technically kind of says the same thing Chip Zdarsky does.
Yeah.
But he says
Chip showed it.
Chip showed it.
Yeah.
He acknowledges, hey, you know what? this is what Batman. No, he not only showed it, he also said, "Hey, this is what Batman thinks a better life looks like."
Yeah.
Batman doesn't say that. Batman
Yeah.
says, "Hey, I've dreamt of it before. I have,
Yeah.
but I can't do that because it would make a whole other mess that we
Yeah.
can't deal with."
And if I gotta throw this out there for anybody that has an issue with Batman saying that, there's nothing wrong with it because that's a human thing. Like, you can go to psychology and therapists and they'll tell you people think bad things all the fucking time. Like, shit, I worked with somebody that I hope could go die in a fire. Like, genuinely. I used to work with this person. I hated his face every time I saw this fucking guy. But
Oh,
I
I
don't
know who
go
you're talking
around
to.
and do
Yeah,
anything. Yeah, I don't go around and being like, I don't go throw him in a fire. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's just
exactly.
not what you
Yeah,
do. But I've thought of it, and it's just like it's human nature. You think of these bad thoughts, but that's why people should be judged on their actions, not their thoughts. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And of course, Batman has to deal with this terrible shit all the freaking time. And this is what police will tell you too. Like, police are like, you don't see the bad shit out there. And it's like, you know what? Maybe I don't, but that doesn't mean you should be taking the law into your own hands to, get rid of these people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, like, that's what Batman's saying here. And then the next panel, he just gets up out of the chair and everybody's like, oh, fuck, run, he's free. And, like, because Batman, you never have him tied down. Like, you just don't. And he goes and he essentially tells him more and more about this whole thing. And the boy gives the axe to him. And he doesn't end up killing the
No,
Joker.
he asks, he's like, "Well, what now?" And
Yeah.
he's like, "Are you just going to take me back to Arkham?" He's like, "No, you're not going to do any good there. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I see potential in you.
Yeah.
You need to go out and use the same knowledge that you are about the Forgotten. Tell people that you are not forgotten."
Yeah.
And so he goes, and dude, these last 2 pages
Yeah.
make this fucking story. Oh my god.
Yeah. This was fire. Go, keep telling it. Go for it.
So he's calling out. He's calling out to Killer Croc. He's calling out to
Yeah.
Scarecrow. He's calling out to all of them. He's like, I'm here. It's done. Like, let's. I couldn't do it, but let's just go.
Yeah.
And fucking Penguin shows up,
Yeah.
and he's a lot older because time has passed. And he's like, "Oh shit, hey, what's going on?" And
Yeah.
they start, getting reacquainted or whatever. But the boy, he says, "I'm really sorry about what I did."
Yeah.
Because the last time we saw them together, he fucking trapped Penguin in the Iceberg Lounge so Batman could capture him.
Yeah.
He's like, "I'm sorry, but things have changed. I'm not going to do that. We're going to make a difference in Gotham."
Yeah.
And he says, "I see now that there is a bigger story out there than myself. There are people to help." And
Well,
Penguin,
before that, he says you showed me kindness can come from unexpected places. It just took me a long time to see that. So
yeah,
he thinks that Penguin gave him kindness when Penguin was just using him as you're just another person to work in my place.
yeah. And so he tells them, there's people to help. And Penguin says, "Oh, my dear sweet boy, I'm afraid you still don't understand." And he says, "You don't matter. You're
Yeah.
just a kid. You talk about being forgotten, but the fact is nobody ever even knew your own name."
Yeah.
I knew it
Which
was
is great.
intentional. It was so
Yeah.
intentional. It's so amazing. And he says, "This world can only care about 2 types of people. One, those powerful enough to rewrite history, and those mad enough to make their mark." And in those 2 panels, when he says that, one is showing Wayne Manor,
Yeah.
and the other one is showing the gates of Arkham.
Yeah.
And he says, "You are just a minor character in other people's story."
Boy.
And this is when the boy is saying, "No, you're wrong. Like, I'm going to go help people. This is my story. I'm going to make my own."
Yeah.
And in the last panel, he says, "No, my boy, it never was." And you see the boy, now the man, face down in the sewage water of Gotham.
Yeah.
Dead. The end.
Probably one of the best stories we've read since covering this podcast. Like all
It is
around stories.
so fucking good. Like,
Yeah.
so I read this. I read this is usually my go-to. Like,
Mhm.
I even skipped. I was like, fuck the detective story. I'm gonna
Yeah.
read this. And immediately after reading this, I go to Matthew Rosenberg's DMs that I have with him. And I said I just read the last chapter of the House of Gotham.
Mhm.
Well, no. I said he said, "Oh shit, where was it?"
You sent me a text message of it.
Yeah, I'm trying to see where it was.
Let's see. Uh,
Oh, I said, Matthew, why? I just got my press copy of Detective Comics. You're so cold.
yeah.
He said, he goes, I'm sorry. Uh, and this is where it gets good. He says, I we had a different ending and changed it at the last minute.
Mhm.
And I said, oh, well, that's interesting. Uh, I said, that last page really got me. Thanks. You're doing great work. He said, thanks. It was always between one of two endings. And I know what he's doing. At this
Yeah.
point, he's just trying to be like, ask me what the other ending is, because I know I'm not going to give it to you. Like, I
Yeah.
know that's what he's asking.
Yeah.
I'm not going to take the bait. And so I say, is there a possibility of seeing the original ending in script format when the hardcover comes along? He says,
Yeah.
probably not. That's an interesting idea, though. I'll ask. I was like,
Mhm.
okay, cool. What do you think the other ending was?
Him surviving and being a hero or something, or not being a hero, but being somebody that makes a mark on Gotham. I think it only ends with it. The only other way to do it is to survive. It's not like he would go to Arkham or anything like that. I think he just
Yeah.
survives. Now here's the thing, though. Should he stay dead, or do you think they should bring him back? Because he could survive a gunshot. He survived so much other stuff.
Exactly. You can definitely you can survive a stab, you can survive a gunshot in Gotham. It's comics,
Yeah.
right? It's comics. So I think you could.
Yeah.
Like this would
Would you
almost
want him to, though? Because
I
we have
think
this conversation all the time about See,
I
Rosenberg.
I think it would have to be a Rosenberg story.
Yeah.
I don't think
Yeah,
I
for
don't think I
sure.
want anybody else touching him.
Yeah, for sure. Rosenberg did the one thing that I have preached on this podcast forever. He created a character that he could kill. And he made you care about that character throughout the whole series. So when he dies, you're actually like, wow.
Now, I have talked to one person that actually did not like this ending.
That person's dumb.
He said that this ending did not make it worth the wait. And I was like, "Are you fucking
What?
kidding me?" Like
How?
this I said this ending is such a fucking metaphor for what Gotham is. And
Yeah.
Penguin spells it out. The
Yeah.
greatest thing about this story is that Gotham can chew you up and spit you out. And whether you survive or not, it's up in the fucking air.
Yeah.
Like this was so good.
Yeah, no, and it's funny too, because like what Penguin says is so true. Because just look at how people view the top like 5 Batman villains, right? Like, oh, I just want Joker, I just want Two-Face, I just want this, I just want that. Like we bitch about the movies all the time, but those are the only people remember, right? We talk about how Batman legitimately has the best rogues gallery in all of comics, and they still only use a handful of characters. Like he has so many amazing villains, but even those B and C list villains are being forgotten. So of course, somebody that is not making a mark like villains are totally going to be lost to the wayside. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's why, like, the only other people in comics that are not villains are the super rich people that are just trying to do shit in Gotham and usually become victims of these other crazy men.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, it was just fucking fire. Like, the
Uh,
whole thing.
day one pre-order. Like
Oh yeah,
I it's a
I will definitely buy this. 100% hardcover. Yeah, I can't give it a 10 out of 10 just because of that one filler issue, but it's a 9 minimum. I could put stuff in between it. I can't give it a 10 out of 10 because just that one filler issue is the only time that I had a negative thing to say about this book, but everything else was fucking phenomenal. Yeah. Again, this is the best thing I've read in 2022. Easily.
yeah.
So, yeah, if you guys have not read this story, wait for it to come out in hardcover. You don't need to read Detective. Don't go spend your money on Detective. Spend your money on this because hopefully this will show DC like, oh, people actually like these side stories when they're really good, and maybe they'll get more people to do better side stories. So, or we'll just get more stories like this and not have to be thrown into other shit. Because I don't think anybody gives a shit about Batgirls right now. And that was in the backstories forever.
Yeah.
So I don't know anybody listening to that or watching it, reading it, I should say. But for the most part, that was easily the best thing we read this week. I mean, I enjoyed Human Target, but again, controversy there. So definitely not the best. But yeah, I don't know. This was fire. I can't really say anything else. Like, after reading it, I was like, God damn, that was dope. So,
Yeah.
but anyways, that is it for this podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Clay, what do you got going on this week, man?
So this week I will be talking on DC Alliance, of course, about the Joker reveal, the deleted scene, all of that. We will be talking, I believe. Let me take a quick look at some of my topics. Me and my co-host go back and forth dropping articles to each other. So from what it looks like, we will be talking about the renewal of the CW shows, and we will be talking about the fact that we didn't say it here, but it looks like Batgirl is set to wrap filming in about 6 days.
Really, I have not kept up with the Twitter to see if they've dropped any new photos or anything like that. I lost interest once everything got delayed. I was like, I'm not gonna be able to see this till next year, so fuck it.
Yeah.
You know? So that kind of sucks, but you know. With all the delays, it actually means fandom's gonna be interesting.
Yeah,
So
hopefully fandom is what, September,
yeah,
October?
October.
So October means that we will probably get a final trailer for not Shazam, for Black Adam.
Yeah.
We will get
And Shazam, because it comes out in December.
And Shazam, yeah. And then we will possibly get a new trailer on The Flash also. So we'll probably get a new sizzle reel and everything else for future stuff. But yeah.
Yeah. Still haven't heard anything about Green Lantern show, which is there. Yeah. I don't know. Either way, that is going to be it, ladies and gentlemen. Go check out my YouTube channels. My YouTube channel has been changing a lot lately. It might not be for everybody if you're not a big fan of spicy content, but I do have a secondary channel called Juice Reacts where I will be dropping my reaction to that Joker clip tomorrow. If you're listening to this, if I get to this, well, if this thing goes live on Friday, the video will already be live over on my reaction channel, so go check that out. Or if you're listening to this whenever, it'll still be there. Go check it out. And then I have an extras channel where I post all just the random gaming stuff from the live streams. Come hang out on the live streams. But that's going to be it, ladies and gentlemen. As always, he is Fanboy Clay. I am Juice Wayne. And remember, Batman is awesome. Batman!